I'll tell you the most intimate thing I could share with you. Bam, we're live. Good morning, everyone. Can you see a screen? Can you see comments, or can you see a screen, Bear?
No, I just see you and me.
Oh,
Barry,
all right,
we're
well, that's
live.
sweet.
So we're live. Thanks,
But
fellas.
I can't see anyone. Oh, I did. I saw. Was that a rat scurry across the bottom?
That was one of the guys helping me set it up. Thanks, fellas.
Dude, how nice is your backdrop?
Yeah, not bad. Yeah, we just set the studio up about a month ago, and for our own podcast. So it's been a lot of fun.
It's sick. I was wearing a man bun, and live on my show, I played one of your clips from the Born Primitive Instagram, and I saw your shit was down, and you look like a lion, and that was it. I told everyone. I said, "Well, I'm doing that.
Hey,
I'm going the Bear Handlon route."
I've rocked the man bun as well, particularly at the gym. Now that I have long hair, I didn't realize how much of a pain in the ass long hair is. So I became the man bun guy at the gym. But yeah, I try to rock it down when we can, keep it flowing.
These guys in the chat tear me up for the man bun. I get tore up.
Well, that's probably because they can't grow long hair, right? Because I was in the same camp. I never had long hair, so I always made fun of it. But once you get long hair, you realize how practical the man bun is.
I was looking at your Instagram, and I was looking at some older pictures of you. And at first I'm like, is this two different people's Instagram? Because you look so different with short hair. You got like sort of that Hunter McIntyre look going. You know who that is?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it was crazy. I was like, well, let me see if I can find. I'm not gonna fuck with this. Anyway, yeah, I was like, wow, is this the same guys? And I had to scroll back up, and there weren't too many transition photos, like where your hair was at medium. Do you curate your Instagram? Like, do you pull stuff down and archive? No, you don't.
No, I don't give much thought to my Instagram. It's usually pictures of my dog and my daughter and random shit like that. So it's nothing crazy.
You are the owner of the brand, the clothing brand?
Correct.
The clothing company?
Yeah, company works, but I like the word brand over company.
Brand, a Born Primitive that makes the softest and most comfortable joggers around. Are these called joggers? What are these called?
Yeah. Those look like are one of our jogger styles. That looks like you got the heavier versions on, so it must be cold wherever you are. But yeah, our joggers have been crazy popular.
These are the heavy ones. These things are so silky smooth. And you want to know, the truth is, I used to wear them out. And then I started, every time I passed in front of the mirror, I could see my cock and balls. And so I started like making them more of a home. I wore them out this morning to get my coffee, but like, I'm not like going to kids events in them anymore.
Well, if you wear underwear, you'd probably be all right. But like, you probably were not, which I'm guessing, but that's all good.
All right. Maybe I was wearing underwear, but I have a giant hog, but maybe I'll wear something with more compression.
There it is. Yeah. Tuck it in.
Okay. There is a way to worn Born Primitive pants if you have a giant hog. I just haven't cracked the code alert. Oh, look, Heidi already wants to see. So this is the comments. Heidi's warning everyone, hog alert. See. Can you see the comment? Can you see it?
I can now. Yeah, lower left. I see the comment. Yeah, I've never done a live one like this, so this is a change of pace for me. That's for sure.
I want to start at the end. Why did you start a podcast?
Honestly, I thought it was an opportunity for us to, do long form content that we could kind of dive into just a variety of topics, and also, hopefully through that content allow people to know a little bit more about what Born Primitive is all about and kind of what, our mindset and what we stand for. But yeah, it was just something we've been talking about for a really long time, and we just had been putting it off. And honestly, it's kind of fun. We have some really cool guests lined up. We just, interviewed Dave Castro yesterday, or that just aired this morning, but interviewed last week. So it's just fun to talk to different people, hear different perspectives, and try to, just share that with other people. And, I think we're all kind of, we share a lot of common experiences and difficulties. So to be able to kind of have a longer forum to just get into that, it's been a lot of fun.
You were at Red Bull, and isn't their whole thing shorter content, like short content, flashy content? Like if you're trying to sell something, isn't the whole world going shorter?
I think they do both. Definitely if you follow their Instagram page, which is absolutely epic, they do a very good job with a lot of that short form content. But they also, in their media house, and I haven't been there obviously in a hot minute, so I'm kind of, assuming these things are still true, but they would do long form films. Like I don't know if you remember The Art of Flight, the snowboarding film, and things like that, where they're just absolutely epic and, 90 minutes or so. So I think they kind of do kind of both ends of the spectrum when it comes to content. But yeah, on their Instagram particularly, I mean, they'll do a quick 60-second clip of just the wildest things, and I'm sure it gets millions and millions of views.
I'm tripping on this. I'm tripping on this medium, the podcast medium, because it is so long, and people have been, and I've been doing it like every single morning at 7 a.m. live for, let's say, 2 years. Maybe it's 2.5 years, maybe it's under 2 years. I can't remember exactly. And the growth is crazy slow from my perspective, crazy slow. But if you're consistent and you do a shitload of it and you engage the people and you kind of like take risks and you don't, become complacent, you can grow, and it can be slow, and you can kind of build, I guess a community. That wasn't my plan. That's just what my observation in hindsight. Things like, so I sometimes now I do voices. I never used to do voices before. So if I were to talk to you, Bear, and I would be like, hey, my mom talked to me today, I'd be like, oh, Bear, you should have heard my mom today. Sevan, don't swear on your podcast. I would never take a risk and do that before, right? Do you have a plan? Like, I'm just trying. Here's the part I'm having trouble getting my head wrapped around. This is all I do. How are you going to run a clothing company, raise your daughter, and do a podcast?
Good question. I think I have a tendency to bite off a little bit more than I can chew, but we have a really good production company, Ironclad, that kind of tees everything up for us and gives us like, the talking notes for like, if we're interviewing someone, of course, like somebody like Dave, I already knew everything, so I didn't need to read like the cheat sheet, but they help us line up the guests. They do post-production. They help us set up the studio. So for me, it's one of those things, like I don't want to over prepare. I just want to get in and just, make it be natural, and then get back to my other job. So I'm trying to make it so it doesn't, take over my CEO duties. But, I think it's an opportunity to reach a lot of people and, have them resonate with our brand. There's only so much you can see in quick 60-second clips and in the copy and our captions and on our website and stuff. But to be able to kind of hear us do long form for 30 or 40 minutes every week, I think people will really get to know who we are and, kind of how we're wired over here.
Will that be the cadence once a week?
Yeah, I think we're going to do every Tuesday morning at 5 a.m. will be the cadence. We'll either drop 1 or 2 every Tuesday morning. And then, we have a bunch of guests teed up. We're getting some really cool guests, a lot of interest. I think it helped because, and I don't know how any of this works, but in our first week, we got into the top 25 on the charts. So now when we reach out to guest acquisition, it's not like some garage podcast. Like we have a real studio and this is a real thing and we take it seriously. So I think, we'll start hopefully getting some momentum. We got Rich Froning's coming on. We just did Ariel Lowen. That was a great interview. She's awesome. We got Tim Ferriss. Tim Ferriss confirmed, wow. Which that's an interesting one. Looks like Riley Gaines is going to come on to talk about women's sports. So some cool topics. I think in this world, as you probably know, you probably got to be a little careful. But I don't really plan on being careful. I just want to be us. I don't want to be abrasive in any way, but I also don't want to filter what we say because I think people want to hear content that's real and relatable.
And the YouTube station that I just went to has been around for a while. So it's not like it's a new YouTube station. It's just new content on the YouTube station. You guys have some videos on there that have some enormous numbers on them.
Yeah, our YouTube is okay. That's really not ever been a point of emphasis. And in hindsight, I wish we had built that earlier on. But hopefully this, obviously every episode will get dropped on YouTube and Spotify and Apple and all the, all the normal spots. So hopefully this will get more eyes to the YouTube channel. We have some cool videos we've posted, but it was never consistent. We're like every week we're posting, different content. It was like we would do like 3 or 4 cool videos a year, and that was it on that platform. So
are you going to, as you release new products and stuff, are you going to be like you have a shoe on the table there? Is that a new shoe?
Yes. So we haven't really plugged much yet, but yeah, this is our, if you can see it in the light, this is our new Savage 1 training shoe. Launches September 8th. And yeah, so little by little, we'll probably incorporate stuff like that. We're really stoked on this. I had been wanting to do a shoe for a very long time. I have always been doing CrossFit. I competed in CrossFit, and I just thought there was an opportunity to improve the footwear based on some of the different shoes I had been wearing. So I finally found some shoe engineers, and we spent about 2 years developing it, and we finally took a swing. Yeah, well, there you go. It's a good shot of that.
It's a great picture,
so we're stoked.
too.
I'm a little biased, but we have tested it quite a bit. I think it's a great shoe, and we have all of our employees wearing it, and a bunch of athletes wearing it, and the early responses has been incredible. And we'll officially be in the footwear game here in a couple weeks.
A big shoe box. I'm I don't know if you would call me a shoe snob or a shoe purist, but I cannot wear shoes that don't have a big toe box. Basically, ever since I started wearing the Nano 2s, I was just spoiled. Like I can't do anything else. My toes but your shoe box looks huge.
Yeah. The toe box, for that exact reason, we made it bigger. And honestly, like as part of the inspiration of design, when I started talking with the shoe engineers, is I really liked the Nano 2, but I thought it wasn't quite durable enough. And I like to wear the Nano 2s like with just going to the grocery store, things like that. I don't necessarily like training in them because once they break in, they're too flimsy, but it's still a great shoe. I think that's like the best Nano they ever made. So that was kind of the basis for the kind of the thought process in the beginning of let's start with that and let's build features that we think will make this way better and make it more technical.
I'm getting a pair.
There you go. We'll talk after. We can make that happen. I might know a guy.
Crazy. So really the Nano 2 is the inspiration for the shoe? You're not pulling my leg?
As someone who has worn like every Nano in like 4 or 5 different Metcons, that was at least like a talking point. I really liked I think it was like the Metcon 5, I think was my favorite shoe ever. It's before they started getting crazy bulky. And again, it was the 4 or 5. You could actually still run in it. You could actually bend it. I don't know if you like the current Metcons, like when you get it, it's an absolute brick. And they have this, they've totally, in my opinion, it's one man talking, they over-engineered it. There's stuff on the heel for like going up the wall, which is like, okay, cool, but we don't need to add 4 ounces to the shoe to have a piece of plastic so I can slide up a wall on a handstand push-up. I don't need a giant rope climb thing on the inside of the shoe that makes it totally different. Like, yes, we do rope climbs, but we're not fast roping. We're not burning down a rope. This is not a military application. So personally, for me, I was like, man, they're over-engineering this. They had a great one. Stick with it. And same thing with the Nano. I thought there were some great ones, and then the next one would come out, and you would get it, and you'd like, what were they thinking? The other one was great, and it would be a totally different shoe. And so that was kind of what motivated me to say, hey, I think we can do this ourselves, and let's take a swing at it.
You know who made a shoe that very similar to the Nano 2 was Victos. Are you familiar with that brand?
Yes, I've heard of it.
The gunslinger brand. And they made a shoe called the Core, and then they made a Core 2, and the Core 2 is too robust for me. The Core is a great shoe. The problem is, it's funny that you talk about the Nano 2 not being durable enough. I have Nano 2s that are 10 years old. I would burn through a pair of Cores in a month, and I'm a fucking old man. It's not like I do crazy shit, but even the rubber on the bottom was so soft that like I would go down into like a skate bowl, and then I wouldn't be able to get out because I'd be sliding, because that within a month or two, I would just burn through the bottom of the Victos. And then sometimes they would start peeling apart and shit, but a super wide shoe also looks very similar to this. Your shoe looks crazy low profile too. It looks awesome, dude. Sexy.
Thank you. Yeah. The drop is pretty minimal. So, I basically wanted to create a shoe. Like if you were going to do 400s or 800s in your workout and box jumps and things like that, it can still accommodate the workout, because I would wear my Metcons. I think the last Metcon when I stopped buying them was like the 7, and it's still a very bulky shoe. If I had 400s in the workout, I would have to switch shoes, right? But I like them for squatting, and I like the stability of the Metcon, but anything dynamic, in my opinion, it was no good. So I was like, all right, we need to create a shoe. If I'm going to go in and do overhead squats, box jumps, a 400, a rope climb, it needs to be able to do all of that. No one should ever have to change their shoes. Now, obviously, if you're doing Olympic lifting and you're really serious about it, like throw on some lifters, of course. But for 99% of the population, if you're hitting 5x5 back squat, like you don't need to change your shoes. So that was kind of the thought process, and that's how I tested it. We had 5 or 6 different prototypes that we went through, and then I would take it to the gym, come back and say, no, this is no good. The heel's too stiff. The toe box needs to be widened. And another cool thing we incorporated is on the insole, the back half of the insole is a more dense foam, and it transitions halfway through. So on the front of your foot, it's more cushy. So like when you're accelerating, jumping, etc., you'll get more kind of shock absorption. But then when you're squatting and stuff, you don't want that big squishy insole that will kind of absorb some of your power. So even just little technical components like that, we really try to think it through.
Allegra R, great brand. Born Primitive. Been a big fan of Born Primitive for a while. Great podcast they had with Dave yesterday. I agree. Dave even told me he had fun on there, which is weird. I definitely liked that you asked him the hard questions. Too many people are afraid to anymore. You know, it's funny, Allegra, when Dave got off that podcast with him last week, he goes, dude, finally someone pushed me. Everyone wasn't a pussy like you. Like, oh, thanks, Dave. Great. That's really cool. You to call me and let me know. That's really cool. Can't wait for the next time you come on.
Yeah, Dave was a great guest. Him and I ran into each other a few times at events over the years, but I knew like he wouldn't remember me because I was just another vendor. But yeah, it was a great podcast. And I told him in the beginning before we went live, hey man, is there anything off limits? And he said, no, man, just send it. And if, I'll answer it honestly. And you don't need to worry about that. So that was cool. I didn't want to feel like I was blindsiding him with a gotcha question or clickbait type stuff. So he was a pro, and we had a good time with it.
He's taught me a lot. I'm not ready to answer that, or I don't want to answer that, or next question is a skill that he has taught me. And the first thing it requires is conscious listening. So when someone asks you something, you can be smart about your answer, not be fake or be overly thought out, but hey, I'll tell you the thing. People in the comments here will put marry, what is it? Marry, fuck, kill. They'll give $1.99 and they'll say marry, fuck, kill, and they'll be like, they'll say three people's name. You know what I mean? Like The Rock, John Cena, or Sevan. And normally when people would do that, I would ask my guests because they paid $1.99. And I got to ask because I'm a whore for $1.99. I'll ask anything. And Dave was one of the only guests ever. He kind of set the trend to be like, hey, dude, I'm not answering that. And I was like, wow. You know what I mean? He's like, nah. And I was like, wow, SEALs do it different. They can't be bought for $1.99.
Yeah, well, and he did that yesterday, and I think it's a smart move because particularly like a lot of times, like you still have to gather more information before you can maybe have a stance on something, or maybe things are playing out in real time, and it's okay to not have an official stance. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of times, especially in interviews, you're not willing to take a pause to just think through it, and then you just end up just spouting something out that maybe you didn't fully think through. And then you have to deal with the repercussions on the back. And with Dave being in the public spotlight a lot, I'm sure he learned through, maybe doing it the wrong way a few times of, hey, I'm not obligated to answer every question. I don't need to do that. And I think it's a smart way to do it.
I like it that he says that he's honest about why he's not answering. I also realize he doesn't own the company, and I'm sort of buying the fact that he doesn't want to give an answer like Floyd 19 that would fuck with some of the affiliates who can't handle the smoke. You know what I mean? Like, I get it. People are trying to run small businesses, and that was total. But on the other hand, Dana White will be like, my brand value from the UFC is the way Dana White talks. Dana, will you ever allow women to fight in the UFC? Fuck no, never. Then 3 years later, he walks it back. Actually, yeah, we do let women fight. Or Dana, will you let men and women fight each other in the UFC? Never. Are you fucking insane? Men are ruining women's sports. Get the fuck out of there. You know what I mean? Like, and I heard you say in a podcast somewhere, don't try to be everything to everyone. You'll fuck your shit up. And I do, in his answer, I hear a little bit of that, and I do think Don has that. I've never mentioned a shortcoming Don has, well, except that he's extremely nice. But I think it falls along with that. I think that's the shortcoming that CrossFit has. Hey, anybody can do it, but this is an accountability brand. And like, you have to put your foot down. You're not being accountable for who you are as a man and a woman if you're gonna fucking let women men participate in women's sports. It's not right. It's just not right. It's not right. Why even have women's sports then? Let's just be honest then and just get rid of women's sports and men's sports and just have one. I don't know. I think that there's a missed opportunity for brand there, but I also respect him for not like giving a bullshit answer. Well, these are very sensitive times. You know what I mean? He didn't do that.
Yeah, I totally agree. And that's something, we've wrestled with over the years. Early on, we're coming up on the 10-year mark, but first 5 years it was
Congrats,
just
by the way. Sick.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But yeah, first 5 years it was just us in the garage, no employees, took over the whole house. And because you're holding on so tight, you can be a little timid in kind of projecting your brand values, because I think you do want to try to speak to everyone, and you realize as this has evolved, I realize that's the exact opposite of what you should be doing. You should be proud of your brand values and be willing to put them out there. And if people don't resonate with that, that's okay. We're a patriotic company. We're always going to support our military and first responder communities. And we're always going to kind of reject that victim mentality that has, I believe, infected our society. And we're going to embrace hard work, chasing your dreams. And if people have a problem with that, then that's okay. There's, go shop Nike. They'd love to have you. But I have gotten more confident.
They sure would.
Yeah, right. And over the, now that we're coming up on 10 years and, we're past, in my mind, the proof of concept. I'm a little more comfortable. I'm okay being like, no, guys, this is how we roll. They can take it or leave it. Don't worry about it. And same thing with the podcast. There's gonna be a lot of topics we're going to cover on there that people might say, oh, well, that CEO, his opinions are crap, and that's fine. But there's going to be a lot of people that are going to listen and they're going to go, hell yeah, finally someone fucking said it. And that's why, we have Riley Gaines, I think, coming on pretty soon to talk about women's sports. And she's been an absolute champion for the cause of fairness in women's sports. And, it took a tremendous amount of courage, but there's a reason a guest like that is coming on our podcast. I'm not going to not give my stance, with her in honestly in alignment with her, because I agree with you. And I think some brands need to stop being so careful and kind of give their true stance. And I do agree with you. I totally understand Dave's answer, particularly because he's not like an official spokesperson of CrossFit. So like that was a smart move, not answering that.
And he was honest why he didn't answer it. He didn't.
Yeah.
A lot of people in his position would have given like the jargon corporate douchebag executive answer. But this is a fucking a SEAL, former SEAL. Like he's not playing that fucking game.
Exactly. And I do think it'll come up. And I don't understand how it's even a controversy. If you have a 315 pound bar and then a 245 pound bar, and they're doing 50 deadlifts as a buy-in to get to the next movement. And like a guy who's a biological male is able to go to the women's bar, like that clearly has a physiological advantage. Like no one can dispute that. How would we ever allow that? Particularly, what really gets me, and I think Riley Gaines spoke to this, and I'm sure it's like, you look at women swimming, anyone who's like seen how swimmers train, they're nuts, man. They're getting into the pool at like 5 a.m. They do like thousands of yards, and then they go back, they do like 2 sessions, and some of them are doing it since they're 6 years old. And, they get to the collegiate level. They've dedicated their entire life to training, right? And have sacrificed a ton. And then all of a sudden, a gentleman who has a physiological advantage can step in at the last second and podium and pump someone off the podium. Like what a smack in the face to all the girls that had trained their whole life for that moment, and they were just robbed of it. Imagine the same thing in CrossFit. We know how hard those girls train. That's a life. I mean, they're spending 4 or 5 hours in the day. They got dietitians, and they got their float tubbing and sauna and massage. I mean, they are totally, totally dedicated in finding that 1% everywhere. And a guy can come in on a 245 pound bar and rip 50 deadlifts unbroken when it should have been a 315. And that now that girl's dreams are, what I mean? Like, so I think you have to frame it up in that. And it's not to say people don't have the freedom to make that personal decision. I have no issues with that. And I think a lot of us don't. It's like, hey, we're not saying don't go do that. All good. Be you. We're a free country sort of thing. But as soon as it starts affecting the happiness of other people, that's where it becomes an argument. And that's where I think we need to draw a line. And I don't think it's an unreasonable line. I think most common sense people, maybe they won't project it publicly, but in their living rooms, talking to their spouse and to their neighbor, everyone thinks that, in my opinion.
We need to agree on some objective reality. And I'm totally okay with what some people would call the double standard, but it's not. We are not the same. I am okay with women using the men's bathroom. I'm okay with women in men's sports if they want to do it. There's actually a law in California that if you have a bathroom at your facility and a pregnant woman wants to use it, you cannot say no. And I am okay with these fucking things. I'm 100% okay. We are not the same. There aren't women by the droves committing the crimes that men are committing. We are a different breed. We are either men have, this is a little bit of hyperbole, but not much. Men have two modes. They're either courting or they're always courting. Whether you're designing a shoe, inventing a light bulb, or fighting, you're courting. It's something you're doing in the meantime to try to attract someone to mate with. I'm almost think it's not hyperbole. If you're between the age of 13 and 38, you're in constant courting mode, and men need to be kept busy and doing some shit. And one of those things is not to be fucking competing against women. It's that's one of our jobs, to protect our cohort, our peer that we're supposed to be mating with. I just feel so strongly about it. Maybe it's because I have boys. I want, you know what I mean?
Well,
you have any boys? Well, you have a girl.
I
more
gotta,
important.
and so now I feel like I have even more skin in the game. As all these things arise, because like, you know, she might be 15, 16, and all of a sudden she's saying, Dad, you know, who's this guy that is now winning the sporting event? You know what I mean? And I have to try to explain that. And it's unfortunate, because I don't think it should be a political issue. But as you know, everything becomes political, and everyone takes a side. And it's like, guys, it doesn't always have to be black and white. These aren't political things. So let's like, can we get some common sense for once?
Let me ask you this. If it's not a political, here's the thing. I'm raised hardcore liberal, tree hugger, environmentalist, love everyone, let women kill their babies if they want to. I was full blown liberal. And then some things started happening that I started tripping on, right? Like letting dudes, I think it was even Riley Gaines. She said that because they'd be in the locker room 18 times a week, there were women in there seeing that dude's penis 18 times a week. Our car insurance is more. Doesn't that like, we're okay charging boys more money for car insurance? Do you understand? Like, we extrapolate from that what we're capable of. Why? And then I started seeing the stuff where they were calling Trump racist because he said that he didn't like he thought that Mexico was sending over its bad citizens, and somehow that was considered racist. And I started hearing all of these things, and then you know, obviously with the Obamacare and all the poor people I know who were getting actually free insurance, free healthcare, we're now having to pay for it. And like, I started looking into things, and so you say it's not political, but I do have to abandon a party that supports child genital mutilation. You know what I mean? Like, even if I'm not a Republican, I have to vote Republican to stop child genital mutilation. It's
And I mean, I think we're starting to see that, and that's the beauty of at least living in a democracy, is you do have the ability to change your party and vote for who you support. And you know, on that topic, it's once again, it's the thing. It's like, all right, if you want to do that as an adult, and
yes,
you know, because I can't personally relate to that. Like, I'm a dude. I'm as dude as they come. So I'm not going to say someone 25 years old is having kind of an identity crisis that wants to transition. Like, again, hey, we live in a free country. Go ahead and do that. But I think, again, where the line is when you start confusing our youth. If you think back to when we were 9 or 10 years old, at least for me, 9 and 10-year-olds do not have a lot of confidence. They're very impressionable. Typically, there's like a kid in the class that is like the leader, and everyone just wants to emulate what he does or her, right? And you all wear the same stuff. If you go in a middle school,
it's usually some kid who's had some crazy hardship at home too, right? It's like the kid getting beaten by his dad's the leader in the class because he's already had to grow up, right? Yeah,
well, and you look at, they all wear the same stuff. You know, I have a niece, and they all wear like the white high top Nikes, and they all literally look identical, right? So there's clearly an effect where there's a herd mentality because they don't have self-confidence yet, right? And I've joked with a few friends. It's like, imagine if we took the identity of who we are when we were like 12 years old and it was frozen and made permanent. Imagine like the goth kid that was going through a phase that had like the spikes in his ears and the black mohawk and the giant Jenko jeans and the dog collar necklace and the black fingernails. Like, you know what I mean? Imagine that kid when he was 11, it was made permanent and said, all right, dude, for the next 80 years, this is what you're going to look like. And, you know, go get a job, go try to interview, go to try to like get a girlfriend, that sort of thing when you're 30 looking like that. And that's like obviously a kind of there's some, you know, some satire in that example, but now we're talking about changing someone's gender, right? So how is that possibly allowed? I have to get a waiver to join the military if I'm 17 from my parents, right? But you're telling me that I can, without the knowledge of my parents, consider a transition when I'm 12 years old. Like, again, this is so common sense stuff. I can't even fathom how there's a stance that would go in the other direction. And I'm just an everyday dude. I'm like, there's no way people actually think this. And I don't think it's that prevalent, but you have the media and the Hollywood elites and the people in San Francisco and New York making it seem like this perception that, oh, there's this huge amount of people that think this. And if you don't think that, you're a bigot. And it's like, no, that's not true. That is definitely not true, because most people are reasonable. Doesn't matter whether you're a Republican or a Democrat. Most people would not support that. And I'm confident in saying that. And the more you talk to your neighbors, people at the grocery store, this and that, you don't run into a single person that actually supports that. So it's like, why is this being positioned as if it's like prevailing thought? It's not.
You can't have your arm amputated. You can't walk into a hospital and be like, hey, this isn't mine. Can you take it off? It's illegal. But you can go in and say, remove my penis.
Crazy.
Hey, when in the clothing business, is it a milestone now that you have a shoe? Is it like the difference between like selling your shirts off of Amazon and then having your own printing press? You know what I mean? Like there's an evolution. Like where does it draw? Now that you guys have a shoe, is that like a huge milestone for you guys?
I don't think it's like the ultimate legitimizer, but I do think it's important, for
What's
perspective.
The ultimate legitimizer? A huge factory in China?
I mean, I guess owning your own production would be, I mean, that's what Lululemon does.
Having kids make your clothes is when you've made it.
But, we were able to build, a 9-figure business without a shoe. So I definitely wouldn't say that, hey, it's a requirement to be legitimate. I think we're definitely a legitimate company, and technically the shoe doesn't launch until, depending on when this airs. Well, I guess this is live, so it's airing right now. But
dude, someone in the comments, listen to this. Guys, the shoe is dope. Fits like a Nano 2. I tried them at the games.
There we go.
Holy
Thanks.
shit.
Yeah, so we had try-ons at the games and people were loving it.
Oh, but no sales.
Awesome. I think they could pre-sale it,
okay.
I believe. And then we did a 72-hour pre-sale in June, which was wild because they weren't going to get it for like 3.5 months. And we just did it for 72 hours and sold a ton. And that's with no validation or no testing, like from the customers already, of course. They're just taking a chance on us. So, but yeah, I do think getting a shoe takes you to the next level. I don't think it's a requirement. I mean, even Lululemon, I think they just like launched a shoe a couple of years ago, like finally. And obviously they're a multi-billion-dollar company. But I think it helps. And particularly for us, for like even like sponsoring athletes, there was this awkward like, hey, we can do everything but shoes. And then like they would go like get Reebok to do their shoe deal. So like wearing Reebok shoes with us, and it just, it was difficult. And now we're having to like transition through that because now we have athletes that still are on their old contracts with Tier and Reebok and stuff. And now we have shoes. So it's like eventually we're going to have to, kind of clean slate that and get everyone, head to toe rocking the gear. So.
I'm trying to think of a good example here, but there'll be like these fitness, successful fitness models. Let's say like HWPO, Fraser Sells Programming, right? Very successful, making money hand over fist, and then they want to release an app. And an app for someone, or street parking, another one, they want to release an app. And apps are crazy risky because, they tell you it's going to be $100,000 to make and it's $4 million when you're done. And you're like, holy shit. And it's all out of your control. It's in someone else's hands. And it rocks the boat for a lot of people. If you talk to these people, right? Is the shoe risky like that too? You're like, oh God, this is going to be a lot of resources. Oh,
yes, it is risky. Because it's going to tie up about $1 million in cash, right? There's going to be a huge lead time on getting the product. You have no proof of concept other than like rigorous testing. Like, of course, we did that to mitigate risk, but there's always a little bit of uncertainty of like, what if my preferences for this shoe are not the same as everyone else's, and I just totally missed the boat on this. Now, fortunately for me, I've been competing in CrossFit, since I was 25 years old, former Division I athlete. So I live in the world of this. So like, I felt like I was very qualified to be kind of a spokesperson for what makes a good shoe. That being said, you know what I mean? You're still putting a lot on the line. Obviously there's a lot of human capital that goes into that, just the time and bandwidth that me and the rest of the team were dedicating to this when we could have been doing other things to grow the business. So, yeah, there's a financial cost and there's a human capital cost as well. But you can't win if you don't play a hand. You know what I mean? And I've always been very aggressive in taking risk. And this was just another thing. I said, just like the podcast was, setting all this up wasn't cheap, and it is taking a lot of time as well. But you gotta, slide your chips in sometimes and make things happen.
Hey, dude, your shoe's gonna kill.
Think so?
Dude, I'm telling you, it's gonna kill. As soon as that gets out that it's the Nano 2, those people around the Nano 2 in the what did you call it, the big toe box?
Yeah,
they can't go back. They can't. I can't wear a Metcon. My foot, I have little gnome feet. I cannot wear a Metcon. My foot is like thick at the bottom, big round toes. My kids laugh at my feet. Yeah, your shoe's gonna kill. They're like man shoes.
Well, I hope you're right, and I guess I'll tease a little bit of what they can expect. We are going to take the values of Born Primitive and allow that to be shown through a shoe. So one opportunity is, actually the shirt I'm wearing right now, which is the "Don't Tread on Me" symbol, which is something we wore on our Navy uniforms. It's a sanctioned patch that we all wear, 300,000 plus sailors, which somehow has also become controversial, which I don't understand.
Yeah, did you see that 12-year-old boy just got kicked out of school for one?
I did. And it's again, it's like we cannot.
The mom is like, Bear. The mom's like, this isn't the Confederate flag. Like, she's like trying to explain it to the history teacher in the classroom. Yeah. I'm like, what?
Yeah, it's unfortunate because I think people, depending on where they consume their media and who they listen to, they don't even educate themselves. I mean, that symbol, every Navy sailor wears that on their left patch on the official uniform. I think there's 300,000 plus Navy sailors, right, in our service. That could be wrong. It's got to be around there. That's, I think, in Virginia where we live, that's one of the license plates. There's naval heritage in that symbol going back to the first ever naval battle. Right. So it's how are we calling that a controversial symbol? Are we saying the American flag is controversial? Like if someone takes an American flag.
It is for some people, it is. I was raised in the Bay Area. I was raised in the Bay Area that the American flag is bad. That's how Democrats are raised in California. The American flag is bad. It's crazy. Yeah, well, they don't even tell you why. They just shame you for liking it. There's no like in my public school system, my family, you were shamed for liking the flag. It was frowned upon. It's crazy, but they don't even tell you why, Bear.
Yeah.
You weren't raised. Where were you raised?
I was raised in God's country in the heartland, Indiana. So that shit did not exist where I came from. It was, you stood up for the flag. You put your hand over your heart. You said the Pledge of Allegiance every morning. You were proud of your country. You served your country. That's how I was raised. And that's all I know. I mean, I got the American flag on my arm. I got the Constitution. I got George Washington. So there is no mysteries if you see me in person. What I think about being proud of our country and what it stands for, and an acknowledgement of everything that people have done before us to give us everything we enjoy today.
Where were your parents born?
Illinois.
And your grandparents?
Same, I think. Illinois, yeah.
And go ahead.
Yeah, my grandfather, he was a major Marine in World War II in the Pacific. And then my other grandfather was an Army captain and was a surgeon because he was a doctor before the war. And so went in and was an amputee medic. So there's a little bit of family history there for service and, just a Midwestern family, nothing crazy. But definitely growing up was an appreciation for, when you think about, like, just take like World War II, for example, you had like 18, 19-year-old kids coming out of a landing craft, 6,600 ships in Normandy. If you've ever been in Normandy, on low tide, it's like 300 yards to the berm, which would be your first line of cover, right? So you're getting off. There's a 300-yard no man's land sprint to the first berm where you no longer are getting shot at with machine gun nests up on a hill on the high ground. These are 19-year-old kids, never seen combat, coming across, the channel there, 6:30 in the morning. We're looking at
hungry, cold, seasick,
a fortified position. And it's like, I wonder, do people forget about what we've done in our history to give us everything we enjoy today? If you go to a football, an NFL game or a college football game and they play that anthem and you don't get goosebumps standing up and you reflect on that, then I don't, then you and I can't relate, because every time that happens to me, and I just wish people would think about the good parts of our history and all the heroic acts that have been done. And obviously Normandy is just one example, but if you have the opportunity to go to Normandy, I mean, it'll smack you right in the face when you go on those beaches and then you go up to the cemetery and see thousands of white headstones of American service members who never came home. That's just one sliver of the sacrifices that were made. And, are we imperfect? Of course we are. We're never going to be perfect. And there's some things we all agree we got to work some shit out. But as a whole, it's like, guys, how can you have such resentment towards our flag and what it stands for? I don't understand it.
How old are you?
I'm 35.
God, you're so sober for 35.
Sober? Like literally sober?
Yeah. I don't know.
Well, it's 10 a.m. here in Virginia Beach.
Poetically speaking, romantically speaking, you're so even keeled, or as they maybe say, you have equanimity. You're you know what I mean? You're even keeled. Hey, do you know what medical school your grandfather went to?
I do not. I do not.
And then the generation what did your parents do?
My dad was an attorney, and my mom was a microbiologist.
Okay. And so there was a premium put on education.
Oh yeah. Yeah, there was. And honestly, they didn't really shove it down our throats. I don't know where the motivation
you didn't get
came
grounded
from.
if you got like a B or a C.
No,
you didn't get grounded.
No, they didn't push that at all. But for whatever reason, like me and my brothers, we were big into sports, but we were also very good in the classroom. I think we were all like top 5 in our class out of like 500 students. And it was, straight A's. And then 2 of us went to Ivy League schools. The other one went to Notre Dame with a finance degree. So my parents definitely didn't say you have to do this. I think what it was witnessing them setting the example of what strong work ethic looks like, whether that's yard work, working out, like all those things. That I think that transcends into, my habits in the gym as a young kid, and then in the classroom. I'd get home and it was like, of course we got to do homework, because that's just the example I was witnessing. But it was kind of cool that they weren't really pressing it, and it just kind of worked out like that. And I hope with my daughter I can do the same thing. I don't want to be that super strict parent. I hope she just observes me over, 10, 15 years, and that just takes care of itself because she sees how dad does it, and it's a good example for her.
2 other brothers or 3 other brothers?
I got 2 older brothers. And they're actually co-owners of their, oldest brother went to Notre Dame. He's actually our CFO. He actually just moved out here last week, and is full time. He moved his whole family out here. He's been kind of like our part-time CFO since 8 years ago. And we kind of finally realized, I was like, hey man, like you don't need 2 jobs. Like this is ridiculous. Move your family out here and let's do this.
And does he have kids?
Yeah, he's got 3 of them.
Oh shit. Your shit's about to get, and are they young like your daughter?
They're 6, I think 10 and 14 or even might be 15. So
your shit's
it's actually
about to
perfect.
get good.
It's awesome because, they love playing together, even though mine's only like 2.5. So I've already seen they go do the dolls and all that. And I, obviously I still watch them, but it's great that they have fun, and it doesn't have to be dad doing tea parties all the time. I get a little bit of a break.
Yeah. Family's so good to have around. I love it when my sister and her boys are around my boys. They're a little older. I have 2 6-year-olds and an 8-year-old, and my sister has 3 boys, and they were raised on, they're motorcycle kids from Texas, and they're, raised on game ranches. And homeschooled, boys at 5 years old already, strapping a gun around the waist and going out and getting rattlesnakes, and my kids aren't like that. I have California kids, right? Skate, tennis, jiu-jitsu, right?
Yeah.
And minivan. And I just love it when her boys are around my boys. It's like, so God, family's so good. One of your brothers went to Notre Dame. Where did your other brother go?
Me and my middle brother went to Yale and played football.
Oh, both of you?
Both of us did, yeah.
How do 2 brothers get into Yale? Was there a trick? You said you were Asian? You said you were black?
I am not any of those. Playing football helps. We were good football players, so we got recruited. And how it kind of works in the Ivy League schools, they can't give you a financial scholarship, but every year the sports teams have a certain amount of slots where they can allow people with slightly less academic pedigrees to still get in. Now, granted, I was
you
still,
got 2 wrong on the SAT. You were only top
yeah,
5 in your class. You weren't.
I think I was 4th out of 550 students. I was in all the AP classes. I didn't get a single B. I think I got 180 minus. So it's not like I was rolling in not qualified, right?
Right.
So,
all right, Whitey.
but a regular guy like me with that
Yeah.
pedigree would have not gotten into the university without football. So it got us a foot in the door. Yeah, we had an incredible opportunity, and I actually wanted to join the military out of high school, and my parents talked me out of it because they're like, hey, this whole Ivy League thing is kind of cool. Like, it's probably going to open up some doors for you later in your life. And oh, by the way, they're going to let you keep playing football. So why don't you go do that? And then if you still have the itch, then join the military after. And that's what I did.
So you're 35. You have a 9-figure brand. 6 is $1 million. So 9 is like 100 million or more. So 9 is between 100 million and 1 billion.
Correct.
And you went to Yale with your brother. How cool is that? You guys were actually on campus at the same time together?
No, I missed them by a year. It sucked because it would have been cool to play together. Yeah, we missed me. I knew a lot of his buddies, when they were seniors. I was a freshman, so got to deal with those shenanigans. But yeah, I missed them by 1 year.
And then you became a SEAL.
Yes, after I worked for Red Bull for 4 years, I went into the Navy and did that whole thing for about 8 years, and just got out last year. So, big part of the story a lot of people don't know about is for the first 8 years of the brand, it was a second job for me. So I was just side hustling at night with, my former spouse, Mallory, who's our co-founder and current COO. She was a dental hygienist at the time, so she ended up quitting her job and went all in on Born Primitive. And then, on the nights and weekends and early mornings, we were hustling Born Primitive. On deployments, I was doing Zoom calls at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, 11 time zones away. So it was a long road, but now I'm able to solely focus on this. It's been a lot of fun, but for the first 8 years, it was kind of I guess technically a side hustle.
And you're only 10 years in, so it's only the last 2 years.
Yeah, I've been out a little over a year and a half as full time on this.
Out of the Navy.
Yeah, completely.
Only a year and a half. This is crazy. And then you also have so you're a father, big complicated business, Yale grad, SEAL. Are you married currently?
I'm not. No, single dad life right now.
And so you met a girl, married her, started a business, had a kid, still have the business with the girl, but are not married.
Almost true. So Mallory and I were married before we started Born Primitive, and I had this crazy, stupid idea to come up with a pair of compression shorts with a pad on the pubic bone for doing snatch. We called them snatch shorts, and she thought I was crazy. And that's how Born Primitive was started. It was not meant to be.
Is that a real thing to protect your cock and balls?
Well, it's mainly it's your pubic bone above that. If you've ever done like heavy snatch or like snatch pulls or like, where you go,
do
like
dudes have a pubic bone? Boys have a pubic bone?
Yeah, feel it. That bone right there. If you push in hard, there's a bone in there.
Okay. Yeah, I feel it.
So I was damaging that area doing like heavy snatch work when we were doing ollie work. And I was like, man, and there's probably some purists that are gonna be like, oh, it's because you were doing it wrong and your limb to arm proportions and all that. Whatever, I got it. But I did some research, and there were actually like Olympians who had fractured their pubic bones in competition. So I ended up taking an old football girdle, cutting out the quad pad and stitching it into the groin area. My neighbor was a seamstress, so we went across the street. Me and her husband drank a gin and tonic. She fired up the sewing machine and stitched the pad into an old pair of compression shorts. And that was I thought that was it. I just needed that one, and I was going to wear it twice a week when I did ollie work, and that was the end of it. And then guys were like, hey man, you should make that. Like and I was like, get out of here. No one would buy this. And I eventually did it, and that's how it all started. And then she was a dental hygienist. Did it sell?
Was it successful?
Yeah. That was the crazy part. It was. I was like, this. I wasn't even marketing it. Dmitry Klokov had gotten a pair. He DM'd me randomly, or at that point it was Facebook message, and I'm like, holy shit! A silver medalist just asked me if I could send him a pair. I don't even know how I found out about it. And yeah, so we got a few early breaks, and people were buying them, and that's kind of how it all started. But yeah, Mallory and I started it together. And while I was active duty, she was doing it full time. Basically, I won't say solo because of course I was helping, but she was kind of the main driver of it in the early days. And then we ended up going our separate ways, got a divorce, but still have a great relationship. It's honestly way easier running a business when you're not married to someone. And then, I don't want to go into a lot of detail on this, but eventually I had another child with someone I was in a relationship with that I'm no longer in a relationship with. So the Mallory and I do not share a child, but we still run the business together. She's an absolute savage, and it's gone from, a dental hygienist to just a total badass businesswoman. It's been cool to see that.
I wonder, probably not appropriate to say, but I wonder when you will introduce her and it won't be your ex. Like that'll happen, right? Like eventually, like it's in the narrative now, but like probably like in 2 years, it'll be like, this is the COO or this is the co-founder. You know what I mean? Like eventually that'll fade away. It's just like the way stories go, right?
Agreed. And a lot of times that is how it is. I guess it just depends on the forum because a lot of people still think we're married and will say like, oh yeah, talk to your wife, Mallory. It's like we do, particularly for her side, she's remarried and has a kid, like out of respect. Like we don't want that to keep coming up in public forums and what I mean? Because obviously, her husband probably doesn't appreciate that. And I want to make sure I respect that. So it is in a way, like a point of clarification. But I agree, she is the COO and co-founder, and that's probably all that needs to be said,
The thing is too, let me play the other side too. My parents got a divorce and they stayed friends. And that was a huge, that probably, I don't talk about it very often, but that's probably one of the biggest impacts on my life, because raising a child is never, the teaching's never in homeostasis. You're either teaching them something good or you're teaching them something bad. There's no middle ground. And so because I never saw these two people fight, really, it's lent a lot to my understanding of relationships. Going back to what you said, you want your daughter to be able to follow your example. So like right now, your daughter's getting you see you have a mature relationship with a woman that you used to have a very intimate relationship with. And so then she's also going to choose a man who's not like you know what I mean? She's learning something from that. And so in that respect, I think it's fucking huge. It's the same reason if I fight with my wife in front of my kids, I make sure they see us make up too. Every time. Even if I got to fake it, you know what I mean? Like, because you can't just, there's got to be a positive learning experience in it.
Totally. So important to set that example. And that's something I hope, will, when it's time for her to inevitably start dating. I agree with you. Hopefully by that time, she knows the positive traits she should be looking for in a man. And hopefully that'll require less conversations with that individual when he comes in and knocks on my door when she's 16 and I'm cleaning my rifle at the kitchen table.
He's knocking out at the front door at the window.
Yeah, exactly. He better not be knocking at the window. Yeah, that's big trouble for him.
Bear, you did you graduate from Yale?
I did.
So you graduate from Yale, and I'm assuming, couldn't there have been, you seem like maybe you have some pathology towards success instead of towards money or challenge. Why not? I'm almost certain out of Yale you could get a job that makes 4 times what your average college graduate makes. If someone's average one's making 50,000, you could have found a job at 200,000. Why go to the Navy and what the liberal California boy like me thinks is put your life in danger? Why risk getting killed? Especially as a SEAL. Fuck.
For me, it was really simple. I was in 8th grade when 9/11 happened, and I knew when that happened, when they sent us home from school, and I got they had an afternoon edition newspaper that was delivered as obviously like special edition. They spun it up. I cut out that newspaper and pinned it above my desk, and it had the towers burning, and it said something about us, us being under attack. And that newspaper has followed me everywhere I've gone since then. It went with me to college. It was in my locker when I was in military training. It was above my desk before I joined the military. It's above my above my squat rack in the garage right now, next to an American flag. You have a shirt.
I saw yesterday on your site. Don't forget.
Yeah. We do a 9/11 shirt every year. And just so you know, I never will profit from 9/11 in a tragedy. All of the proceeds go to a charity, Tunnels to Towers. But yeah, we do the shirt every year to commemorate the date. So that was it for me. I need to serve. For me, as a grown man who was physically capable, it did not feel right that there were other grown men putting their lives on the line to protect me, and I was sitting back in an air conditioning house, watching football on Saturday afternoons. It just didn't sit well with me, and I knew that I needed to step up and do my part. And so that's what ultimately motivated me to make that final decision to change my life and take a different direction.
And it's funny you say that too, because not funny, sad, because when the towers went down, Bear, I was in college with the fucking holding a bong, sitting on the couch watching it, smoking weed. Probably after that went to the liquor store. After that went to the beach and played Frisbee. And I never gave it fucking two thoughts to man up like you did. So thank you. Fucking thank you.
Yeah, and honestly,
on behalf of my three boys, thank you for giving them a place where they can grow up and be proud men.
Well, I appreciate that. You know, I haven't really done anything. And honestly, for people that had that reaction, that's okay. You know what I mean? It's not, I'm not any better than anyone else. That was just as an 8th grade kid living in the heartland, you know, with the patriotic values kind of instilled in me. That was kind of the stock response, you know, but it makes me no better. That was just the path I chose, and it was a really cool experience, and I got a lot out of it and met a lot of really cool people. But just another normal dude.
You never thought for a second, okay, I had this idea. Remember we were talking about like if the goth kid had to like do that for 65 years, you kind of did that to yourself. You put something on in the 8th grade and then you carried it. Couldn't you have just graduated from Yale and be like, okay, I was young. Now I'm just going to be rich and I'll donate some money to the Navy SEAL Foundation instead.
Yeah, that didn't really cross my mind.
No.
You know, I think it's one of those things, like anything in life, if it's something you're thinking about all the time and it's consuming your mind, it probably means you need to do it. And for me, that was going into the military. But if whatever that is, and we can all relate to that. You have that itch. If you're staring at the ceiling, keeping you up at night, and it's all day long, you're daydreaming about something, that you got to go do it. You're going to regret it. And that was occupying my mind quite a bit. So it was an obvious answer. And, you know, yes, I could have changed my mind for sure. It wasn't irreversible. You know, a lot of my friends, most of my friends that I was teammates with on the football team did the kind of conventional Wall Street route from Yale. And it was the wildest thing. You know, we had a guy who worked in the football office. His name was Don Scharf, and he has since passed away, but he's done so much for the program. He basically was in charge with keeping a network with the alumni, the Yale football alumni, which if you look at like the directory, I mean, it's crazy the positions these guys are in 30 years after they graduate. I mean, CEOs of major companies, and he would keep like we called it the Bible, Yale football Bible. And he would keep everyone's contact information current. He would stay in touch with alumni. So you could walk into Don's office when you're like a junior and say, hey, Don, I want to work in New York next year. And he's like, what kind of business? I want to do consulting. And he'd flip to that tab and he'd go, all right, I got John. He'd go, all right, I got John, class of 78. He's the CEO over at, you know, like some giant consulting firm. And I got this guy. Oh yeah. He was tight end in 83. We're great buddies. So he did that to me. I walked in the junior year and I wanted to do a consulting gig just to get something on my resume, because I had mowed lawns my whole life. So I was like, all right, I got to get at least something professional.
Hand pusher, like just like one where you pull the drawstring and the motor starts up and then you push it. Wow.
That's right. You know, that's how we did it. And I think that taught me a lot about entrepreneurship and, you know, just, you know, things like that. But
I did that too, by the way. Listen, I've been degrading myself a lot. I mowed some fucking lawns too. I could jump start it. Thank you.
It's good for you. It's good.
And then I would rake up the leftover grass and like I would empty the bag, and I was a little scared of the blade underneath, but I did it.
But yeah, anyway, so Don, when I went in there junior year, I said, I want to do consulting. He flipped to, and he said, where do you want to go? I said, let's try New York. He flipped to New York. There was a guy that was like a major, you know, I think he was their CFO there. Don literally picked up the phone in front of me, called this guy. The guy picked up and he said, hey, Bill, I got Bear Handlon. He's a junior linebacker, 6'2", 240 starter. He wants can you give him a gig this summer in New York? He needs an internship. And the guy's like, yeah, sure. Give him my email. We'll link up and it's done. It literally, I was in there 5 minutes. Don got me a job. So when guys become seniors, that becomes a thing for like your. So what I'm getting at is I could have done that. All my buddies went to Wall Street. They made a ton of money. But I also, when I see them, 10 years or so later, or now more than that, damn, it's going quick. Are they happy and fulfilled, making a bunch of money on Wall Street, but working crazy hours and not being able to put an emphasis on fitness, and they're having to do happy hours and entertaining clients. Like some people, that's what they want to do. For me, I wanted to cut against the grain, do something different.
So just to go back here a second, when you left college, you left Yale, you did the work for a couple years, and then you worked for 4 years and then went to the Navy?
I did. Yeah, I went and worked for Red Bull for 4 years, which was awesome. I did marketing for them. So that was kind of cool because I got exposed to kind of brand and like what brand means, and the way Red Bull has done it has been pretty incredible. They invented the energy drink category. It didn't exist. Started in 1987 in Austria on some crazy idea. A couple guys they took a chance. But the fact that it's so much more than just a product and what it embodies, I was able to kind of see that by getting kind of indoctrinated as a Red Bull employee. And I think that's helped a lot with how I've looked at Born Primitive and how we've built it. Now, the brand traits aren't the same, but it's the idea that the brand almost needs to be a person. It needs to have human traits, and those need to be portrayed through the content that you put out.
I think this is one of the greatest commercials that I've ever seen. I probably have no business playing this.
What do we got? Let's see it.
This commercial is so good, dude. So the reason why I never drank Red Bull
until they're cartoons. Yep.
I never drank Red Bull probably until, I don't know, a couple years ago, like ever. I mean, I still don't drink it, but like I wouldn't even like now, if it was 2 a.m. and I was driving, I had no problem going and buying the biggest can of Red Bull. Before, I would have never done that for some reason. I just thought it was what bad kids drank. I still think it's what bad kids drink. But I love the fact that I think every brand should do this. It should just go to the absurdity. Like they're saying this shit gives you wings, but this is so absurd. Okay. This is so absurd. I just love this. Okay, here we go. Watch this.
Uh-oh, this does not look good. Here, have a Red Bull and pass it on.
Classic.
How crazy is that?
Yep.
That's Thanksgiving origin story. That's got to be sacrilege. They fucking stole it.
That's classic Red Bull. They've always been very witty, and that obviously was shown there in their cartoon commercials are so identifiable. I mean, the first 2 seconds, you're about to watch a Red Bull ad, and that's kind of the whole point.
Savage. Had you seen that one?
I hadn't. No, that's great. That's one of their better ones for sure.
God, it's fucking nuts. When I saw that, I said, oh my, I just love the ridiculousness of it. That's why we eat turkey, because there wasn't enough Red Bull for him to fly away. And that fucking dude's got wings already.
Yep.
So you do that for 4 years, and then what's the whole time it's just itching at you to join the Navy? And then you want to be a SEAL?
Yes, that was the plan from the beginning. And it kind of turned out I was training for it. That's actually how I got into CrossFit. I stumbled upon it because some guys that I was training with doing our swimming and running workouts were doing that in the evenings, and they were getting super fit. And I just like, hey, what are y'all doing at night? And that's how I got introduced to it. And but
sorry, were you in the Navy at the time, or this is when you were trying to get in?
We were just because I had was a football player, and I realized I needed to change my fitness. Being 245 pounds and being able to run a 4.6 and squat 400 pounds is not needed, nor will that be applicable. So I needed to cut some weight, get good at long distance running, get good at swimming, etc. So that's why I changed my training style. And that's how I got introduced to CrossFit, and I ended up competing and made it out to the games 1 year and competed on team, which was awesome. Dave and I were talking about that yesterday. But the intent on joining the military was there from the beginning. Long story short, though, I got a lot of family pressure that from, my family as well as Mallory's family saying, hey, you're never going to be around. You're going to be in danger. You're gone 300 days of the year, yada, yada, yada. And I eventually kind of caved and gave up the dream for like, I don't know, a year. And kind of going back to what I said about staring at the ceiling in the middle of the night, was every night for me. And I finally realized, hey, I need to do this. And I secretly started training again for that. So I was sneaking away to the track and the pool and getting proficient there. And then, my CrossFit workouts, the reason I was doing them was to get that level of conditioning, and no one knew what was going on. And then I eventually, once I got accepted into the program, I did not tell my parents until I was like, I think a month out from shipping out. And I gave them my acceptance letter into the program. And, of course, my mom started crying. I think my dad was pumped, but I don't think he was.
You were already in the Navy. So let me just understand. You were already in the Navy. They were just dissuading you from.
No, I wasn't in at all. I was a civilian working the Red Bull life in Indiana. A good, easy life. I was great balance. And
you signed up to be in the Navy without telling your wife?
No, not the wife. She eventually got read in on that, right? But no one else knew. And because I didn't.
So by the time you told your parents, it was too late. They couldn't be like, "Come get you."
Yeah, no, it was happening. One of those things.
Oh, shit.
Like,
wow.
burning the boats. There can't be an off ramp, right?
Right.
And so that was, and I didn't want to torment my mom for like a year if she knew I was going to apply. And then because if I didn't get accepted in the program, like there's no point stressing my mom out. So that was the kind of the whole idea is like, let me see if I'll get accepted. And then if I get accepted, I'll just tell her at the last second so she doesn't have to worry an extra 3 months for no reason. So that's how that went down. So we did a 180.
You weren't too old at that point? You weren't too old?
No,
by now you're 26 or something?
Yeah, I was 25, 26. No, I think there's an age waiver. I think that's around 30 to enter that part of the service. But you can get a waiver if you're like 34 and super fit. I guess they might accept you, but it's not very common. But so I was well under that age limit.
There was some dude, there was some guy who was playing football, I want to say at the University of San Diego, who became a SEAL like at 34 or something. It was and he was like he was on the CrossFit seminar staff or something. It was something weird like that. But of course, yeah, he was a CrossFitter. He was like his fitness was absurd. So then you go to do that, and did you make it in the first time? You get through the
correct.
Oh,
yeah,
shit.
I made it through.
And it's kind of crazy, even though I'm sure it was extremely hard. On the other hand, people are like, well, this is just the way this dude does it. He's an overachiever.
It was very hard. And yeah, it was a punch. It was a kick in the balls. That's for sure. They thinned the herd pretty quick. And I was fortunate for whatever reason to be able to squeak through and get it done.
SEMA Globes. Last time Dave went on a podcast with Jacko, Jacko became a sponsor. I think it's Jocko, but who am I? And Sevi did the behind the scenes, just connecting the dots. Oh, wow. Born Primitive, a sponsor for the games. Take over for. I'm trying to. I should be nice.
Is that a question or is that a comment on the?
I'm thinking it's a whole mix of things. It's my inside thoughts, comments, and outside.
No, you're good. I'm reading. I saw the one that just popped up about the Jocko thing. So I was sorry. I was reading
that. These people are suggesting that Born Primitive will replace the current. I don't know what the fuck you call that thing, as the clothing sponsor for the games.
I don't think I can comment on that.
Okay.
If you listen to not a shameless plug here, but
shameless plug.
Our episode with Dave Castro on the Born Primitive podcast just aired yesterday morning. And we talk about that at one point. So if you're interested, tune in. But Dave also gave a vague answer, so don't expect a whole lot.
Yeah. Yeah. People should listen to that. And Dave gave you the call me offline.
Yeah. I think we had like 10 seconds until he had to jump on another call. So it was a quick Irish exit and he was out, which was appropriate. So it was good.
I did call him and give him some feedback, and I told him that. He said, "What did you think?" I said it was really good, just like you told me. But you're a douchebag for giving a fellow SEAL a hard finish. And he said, "No, I didn't." I said, "Yeah, you did." And then he's like, "Oh shit, you're right. I did have a call."
And he told me that. So I was looking at my watch. Yeah, it's funny when you listen back. I don't know. Do you listen back to your stuff ever, or is it just
Don't
I've
have
tried
time.
to
I'm
listen
raising
back to the
kids.
first couple of episodes, and it's
Yeah.
when you hear yourself talk, it's brutal. And I realized with Dave's episode, I was listening to it yesterday. For whatever reason, I think I said obviously like 16 times. I would say obviously before I would make a point, and it was definitely not an obvious point. You know what I mean? It's like it's an opinion, but it's not obvious. So I need to reel that in a little bit.
I do not enjoy anything I say unless it's funny. And like only 1 out of like 30 things I say is funny. And I'm always like the times I have listened a little bit back, I'm so disappointed at how not funny I am. And I just fucking hate it. I just hate it.
Well, I think we're our own worst critics, so I wouldn't buy into that too much because obviously you're doing something right. But I don't think you can ever listen to yourself talk and not cringe a little bit. It's just I think it's just human nature.
You kind of see sometimes I think I'm being so real on the podcast and I listen and I'm just like, God, you're fake as fuck. Like, fuck, chill, dude. This guy never likes anything. David Weed. This is a mill guy. Those look fire. About the shoes.
Talking about the shoe?
Shit.
Yeah, what do you think?
Crazy.
David, glad you're pumped, man. I'm trying to get it in that light. And we got these crazy lights above me, but I can't really get a good angle.
The white ones are pretty racist. Please, 20 burpees for being racist. Okay, a coffee Papa Mountain Mama. Wow. They had them at their booth at the games and they were super light. Wow, even more feedback.
Yeah, we're pumped. We're pumped. I mean, again, like I said, we put a lot into this. We R&D'd the shit out of it. So I'm trying to remove my bias, but I do think it's a great shoe, and I think people are gonna be really stoked on it.
This really sucks. I'm sorry. Heidi Kroom. God, what a fucked up thing to do. Why can't you do Marry, Fuck, Kill like Sevan, Kermit, and Big Bird? Why do I got to be with fucking the Born Primitive dude who looks like a lion and Dave?
So how does this work? Do you have to say, because you're listed?
Yeah, no, this isn't for anyone. This is just to take a shot at me so people in the comments could be like, kill Sevan. This is just,
okay. So now people will comment back.
Yeah, now people just harass me. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, look,
hopefully no one wants
damn
to
it, Heidi. Look at this guy knows Heidi's gonna get fucking kicked off the show. There goes Heidi. That's right. Someone boot her. Wad Zombie. The Born Primitive dude fucks. Marry him for sure. Oh wow!
It's funny you do this live, man. This is kind of fun. There's no margin for error here. What they see is what they get, I guess.
Hey, you know what's crazy is I don't even read them before I pull them up.
Yeah,
I don't have time. I just have to just trust in the game. Just trust.
Kind of like a radio show when you get those crazy guests that call in, and the host has to be like, dude, I don't know what to tell you."
What's cool is when they say stuff that you would never say, but you wanted to say, and then you can just blame them. Well, that's totally inappropriate. You know what I mean?
Totally.
Seema Globes, marry Sevan, fuck Bear, and kill Dave. All right. I just randomly picked that. Thank you. Thank you. I'll take it. And then you always got to read the money ones. Well, not always. Occasionally someone will say something so crazy I can't read it, but it's rare. What will it take to see Born Primitive at the CrossFit Games? Good follow-up question. So it is something you're open. We'll start at the biggest. It is something you're open-minded to. And yes. You did say it was like maybe a 10-year goal. It was something when you started the company, you're like, oh, I could see us in 10 years being the sponsor of the CrossFit Games.
Yeah, and honestly, it was kind of a joke. Not a joke, but, a lofty goal at the time. I mean, we were literally running a business out of our house with 2 of us. So to say something ridiculous like that when Reebok was the title sponsor and killing it was...
Which is part of a multi-billion-dollar conglomerate.
Yeah, and here I am in my garage in Virginia Beach being like, 10-year mark, that's going to be us. Kind of an outrageous thing to say. But ironically... here we are coming up on 10 years and there appears to be an opportunity there. So that's why I'm talking with Dave. I had to throw that last question at him, but I think it would be really cool. Again, of course I have my own bias, but what I feel like is missing is in the CrossFit community, there's a huge participation from military and first responder communities. And I feel like that's an opportunity. At least if we were to be the official apparel sponsor of the CrossFit Games, you could expect us to weave in some patriotic components to how we would position ourselves in lockstep with CrossFit. And I think given the CEO's background as a force recon guy and, naval officer as well. Like, I don't think that would be a hard pitch. But to me, that was a big thing that was lost. And I remember I was at the games.
I don't know. Freedom of speech is so polarizing these days.
Well,
the ability to pick whatever car you want to buy, very polarizing these days. The idea of raising your own kids, these are very polarizing. Growing and hunting your own food, very polarizing, Mr. Bear.
I
wish I was joking. I wish I was joking.
No, I know. I wish it wasn't that way. But I remember, I think it was at the 2013 games when 511 was heavily involved. And they were slinging the vests, which, for Murph and all that, which was cool. But they had everyone in the tennis stadium. The guy came out on the floor. I think it might have been their CEO. I can't remember. But he basically addressed every service member and had everyone stand up that, was a policeman or a firefighter or first responder or, a veteran.
What year was that? I vaguely remember that.
I think it was 2013. And I remember I was in the stadium and everyone like started clapping and it was just a really cool thing. And you know what I mean? It was like,
brilliant. That's brilliant.
We need more of that. So like, that's where I get excited from the opportunity is, okay, how could we put a Born Primitive spin on our association with the sport, particularly at the CrossFit Games? What is something we could do as an experience that, integrates our first responder and military communities in a cool, badass way? So that's where my mind went with it. The clothing part, of course, is cool, but I think it's an opportunity to reinforce our brand values along with CrossFit, who I think should have similar values due to the nature of the people that I think are their main participants. And that's just a guess. I don't actually know the data, but I know, at least from when I'm going into a CrossFit box, there's a lot of men and women with tattoos and American flag patches on their hats, and that then get in their policeman uniform and go to work. You know what I mean? Like it's such I think it's weaved into the DNA of CrossFit from my optic.
Bear, you're okay if I flex on you a little bit, right?
I love that. Let's do it.
Okay.
We're live, so I guess there's no going back.
Okay.
Are you calling somebody?
Yeah, call Dave, and I'm showing off that I can actually. I'm really flexing. You like
you
that?
You think he's gonna answer?
You never know. You never know.
Oh man, he's probably
we're gonna ask him like, hey, can we have the first responders and the mill guys stand up at the games next year? Let's just ask him. I'm a little scared. I've never done this before, but I'm like, fuck it. I have
a feeling
I got another seal on the
done this before.
Yeah, I have not.
No,
I've called other people, not Dave. He does not. He will not like to be ambushed.
And he's on
my
speaker.
Podcast.
That's savage.
I've never called Dawn. What if I fuck with Dawn and call Dawn? Don't be a pussy, Dave. Pick it up.
Your call has been.
There it is.
For all you know, that wasn't even really his number. That was my wife's number, and I texted her ahead of time and told her not to answer.
Brilliant.
Damn.
Next time we'll get him.
It's all the call. See, it's risky, right? But you got to take the risk. A little scary.
Oh, yeah.
I got scared. I'm not comfortable, but Vindicate. This is the guy who makes my shirts. I had to have the discussion with my 14-year-old last week that if a boy comes in the locker room, you let me know. I'll go to war. Oh, fair enough. I'm assuming you have a girl. I'm so behind in the comments. I apologize to you guys. Let me see if there's another thing that you become comfortable with doing the live shows is in the beginning. I used to panic a little bit when there would be downtime or quiet time.
Yeah.
And then after a while, and then I kind of know so many of these people in here, like 300 or 400 of their names I just recognize so often that I just feel like I'm hanging out with my homies. Someone,
That's awesome.
Wad Zombie, this is the guy that makes the athlete playing cards. He makes the Ariel Lowen card. Mr. Bear, you already have a lifelong clothing customer. You already have lifelong clothing customers. Your podcast is going to make them more loyal. Put a good shoe on them, and you're going to have everyone head to toe. Oh,
I sure hope so. Thank you for that.
That guy also has a side. His main job is he works at a ship plant for the city. So be careful, and he makes cards. So be careful how if you take his advice or not.
Check.
Here we go. Dick Butter. Oh, back to the flags thing. It has nothing to do with the actual flags or symbols. Liberals just assume you are Republican when you rock a Gadsden flag. That's the "Don't Tread on Me" one.
Mm-hmm. That's what I'm wearing right now.
Gadsden flag. Did I
By the
pronounce
way,
that
this
right?
is our
Gadsden?
best-selling shirt ever. So clearly, I'm not the only one who likes this.
And what am I pronouncing it right? Gadsden?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it's kind of a weird
flag or American flag. Wait, where was it? Or when you rock a Gadsden flag or American flag and being a Republican is racist. Yeah, I don't get it all. Hey, I just went on your site, Bear.
Yes.
And you have the word gender. Why don't you guys use the word sex? When I look up the definition of gender, I think of it as like imaginary shit. Like I don't personally have a gender. I don't wake up in the morning and be like, I'm gonna put this on so I look like a man. Like I just when I wake up at 4 and take my first piss, I'm like, oh, there you are. Hey, what are you doing? Why not use sex?
Honestly, had not given it any thought until you just asked me. So
I'm going to submit that into the feedback box.
There you go.
Thank you. Because I just think of gender as like, when I see the word it says bathrooms will say all gender bathroom. I'm like, they've always been all gender bathrooms. Like to me, sex is like something that's in between, or gender is something between your ears, and sex is like what dangles between my legs or doesn't dangle.
Never thought of it like that.
Okay. He clearly doesn't listen to the podcast, people.
Oh, was that an inside joke?
Well, no, I'm really a stickler. Holy shit, the chat is busy. I'm a real stickler for words. And I don't like the confusion of gender and sex being used interchangeably.
Okay.
Like if you look up the definition of gender is like norms, right? So like a cowboy doesn't wake up in the morning and get dressed to be a cowboy. All that shit he wear, like you didn't dress up in the morning to look like a Navy SEAL. All that shit had function, right?
Okay.
And so people who are dressing for gender, it's like, dude, why are you doing that? Just get fucking dressed like however the fuck you want. Like we have a fucking zipper on our pants so our dick can fall out of it so we can pee. It's not like I'm not trying to like act like a man or nothing. It's just functional shit. You know what I mean? Like chaps are functional so that like, I guess like when you're riding through the brush, the trees and shit don't fuck your legs up, and the spurs aren't so you look like a cowboy so you can kick your cow, and the hat's to keep the sun off your face so your giant Armenian nose doesn't burn. Just shit like that.
Totally.
Oh, here we go. Jonathan Ortega, gender and sex are different because I can't have gender with your mom.
Nice.
All right. Fine. You're in Virginia?
Yeah, we're in Virginia Beach.
And why there? Why not back to the homeland and closer to your parents? You seem like a guy who'd want to be close to your parents.
Well, by the time I got out of the service, I was stationed out here for 6 years.
Oh, I've heard Dave talk about you. You're an East Coast SEAL.
Yeah, there's a couple there's East Coast and West Coast, but so I was stationed out here, and by the time I got out last January, I mean, by that time we had like 45, 50 employees already, maybe more. So like I couldn't just, I think we have 75 or something now. So we couldn't just pick up and be like, hey guys, we're going to go back to the Midwest. Like I kind of realized that I have roots here now, and I enjoy it. It's a great place to live. Beach town. Everyone's pretty active and fit. And, it's a big military community. So I'm still like around all the dudes, which is great. I kind of have best of both worlds. I don't have to deal with a lot of the shenanigans of, the job, but I still get to see them and, see them at the beach and stuff like that and hang with them still. So yeah, I don't think I'm going anywhere anytime soon. And ironically, my parents are moving out next month, as well as, I said my brother moved out as well to be full-time CFO. So I'm actually bringing them to me, which is pretty badass. I'm really excited about it.
Sorry, say that again about your parents. Your parents did move out?
They're moving out next month.
For good.
Yeah. So,
oh, dude, you're living the dream.
It's going to be huge. Because then even just with, my mom helping out with, babysitting and stuff like that. I mean, she loves that. And, your grandparents, they love that thing. So, and then, being around my nieces and nephews and being able to go to their softball games and gymnastics meets and all that. Like I've always been a very busy uncle. I would say I haven't been the most present. Like obviously I maintain a relationship with them, but now it'll give me the opportunity to really be more present because I can be physically there.
I know you're going to think this is a joke, but this isn't. This guy's name is Brandon Lecoq. He came on my show last month and gave away a pair of free games tickets. But he says, let me know if you need a reliable, military-friendly real estate agent. Oh, so he must be in Virginia. Brandon Lecoq. You can't forget that name, right?
Okay. Thank you, Brandon. I appreciate it. I have someone that I use that's really squared away, but doesn't hurt to have options. So thank you.
A backup. When you, the current clothing sponsor for the CrossFit Games had a vaccine policy. They required their staff to take the government mandated injections in order to continue to work at their facility. Did you guys have something like that? Did you require your employees to take that?
No, not even close. You know, the
point born primitive. Point.
I won't even
2 points.
use,
I'm gonna give you 2 points. 3 points.
So,
I'm gonna give you 3 points for that.
The word for this disease, I realized, you know, you and I were talking about this when we were trying to get our camera all set up, but Dave's podcast is trending really well from a download standpoint right now. Just heard yesterday, and we went from 26 on the chart, jumped up to 23. And I probably need to stop looking at the charts, but because who cares? But
I used to do that for the first year. I love looking at the charts.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's kind of fun for me, and I don't know how this all works. So I'm just keeping an eye on it. But we were like 4 below Dave Portnoy's podcast, which was cool. We had jumped Harvard Business Review, which was just funny for me because I'm a Yale guy. And Dave's aired, and it was like right on. This will probably engage our CrossFit audience quite a bit because we can dork out and talk about CrossFit for an hour. And then I woke up this morning and looked and scrolled, and we weren't even in the top 50 of the. There's no way we dropped off from 23 when we're going up. It was a green arrow going up, meaning it was trending well. So I called our production company and I said, "Hey, what's going on here?" And they looked into it. And bottom line is, and I guess we can just say it because you don't care.
Yeah,
but
you can say it all the time.
Because we used the word COVID-19, Dave did, and it was literally not in a controversial way. We were talking about how fitness could have been a good way to combat COVID, right? Not a bit. I think we can all hopefully agree on that. That it shadow banned us from the charts, and just dropped us off. You know what I mean? And they're like, yeah, there's things like firearms and COVID, this and that. So I now that I realize that, I just need to not be worried about that because I can't be constrained to not using certain terms. And it's just how ridiculous is it that even just simply mentioning the word. And I think it's symbolic of an even bigger issue that we have. And I hope hopefully people realize how important it is that there's not censorship to, particularly when it comes to science. Science is, an attempt to seek truth, right? Through, objective data. And in any scientific method, there's supposed to be opposing views, and that's how the truth is found. So in any scientific method, in the most pivotal moment in probably our lifetimes, all of a sudden, any dissenting thought was not allowed to be put into the conversation. Even if these people were Harvard, Stanford, it didn't matter. It's like, or why are we abandoning the scientific method when this is the one time we should 100% emphasize the scientific method and allow that to happen? You know what I mean? It doesn't mean that's going to be what wins, but at least allow that view to enter the discussion. So the scientists and people that are way smarter than you and me can do their thing and figure out what is the truth in a very dynamic situation. Obviously this was evolving in real time. There was no precedent. So I get the fact that we had to maybe take some measures to get this thing under wraps, but I guess I went long on that, but you didn't
go long. You didn't go long.
We didn't mandate that at all. From an HR standpoint, it was tricky because we had enough employees by that point that I finally have an HR person, which I never had before. It was just me, kind of just doing my thing. And, if we had to fire someone, we just did it. And she was kind of concerned, how do we do this? And I basically at one point just told everyone, hey guys, here's the deal. We're going to be dealing with this for a while. If you want to get the vaccine, it's fine. It's definitely not going to be mandated. That's totally on you. No one's going to ask you. So that's a personal decision. And as far as it relates to going to work, we can't function as a business if we don't come to work, right? Now, office employees, there was a little bit of flexibility. Like if you had symptoms, it's like, all right, just stay at home. Of course, we don't have to spread it, right? We weren't being reckless. But for the warehouse crew, you can't remotely fulfill orders. We own our own fulfillment. They're all Born Primitive employees. So it's like, guys, if we want to stop our business for a year, then Born Primitive doesn't exist. So we have to assume some risk. We're all fit. Everyone at Born Primitive is like, it's awesome. You go to the warehouse, we call it the jungle. It's a bunch of young, fit people. Half of them aren't even wearing shirts. The girls are wearing sports bras and booty shorts. I mean, it literally looks like a CrossFit gym, but they're fulfilling orders. It's all, and we have a CrossFit gym in there, which is awesome. It's like, all right,
Really? So you have a gym at your headquarters?
Yeah. We got a big rig,
a
big BIRTHFIT rig, and dumbbells up to 150 pounds, a couple air runners, like I think 8 rowers, all kinds of cool stuff, bumper weights, of course. So they all throw down, at lunch and before work and after work. We try to keep.
How do they come up with that name, BIRTHFIT? That doesn't sound
I don't know,
like a man's fitness program.
They're Navy guys, by the way. So yeah, so anyway, I kind of realized, hey, we have to assume some risk here, because if every time someone gets a scratchy throat or has body aches, like if we shut down the whole operation because 3 days ago that person had lunch with that guy who then did orders with this, like it just, you can't do it. So I said, if you're uncomfortable with that, I understand, but the show has to go on, and we can't let this like define our lives, So that's how we did it. And it worked out.
How many employees did you have die from COVID?
0. Everyone is good and still fit and getting after it.
That doesn't make sense. Hey, you know what? My buddy Andrew Hiller's like, hey, I totally figured out the wording on everything. If you don't do this for climate change, people are gonna die. If you don't do this for if you don't let kids get sex changed, they're gonna commit suicide and die. If you don't take this injection, someone's gonna die. They backstop everything with, hey, if you don't, someone's gonna die. That's like become the new thing for 2020 and beyond. It's always you're gonna die or you're gonna die. It works. It works on it works so well on people who are just intaking the program, right? The people who are just like asleep in the matrix, to use that simile. That component of fear, you just put it on them, and then they're right away, yes, allow child to chop off penis in order to save their life. Yes, you know what I mean? It's crazy.
Yeah, it's
even if you say to them, global climate policies actually cause more people to die than save lives, they can't. They refuse.
Yeah, how it's transpired through the media is frustrating, and like I think we could go really long on this, but I share your sentiment. I'll leave it at that. And I just hope in the future we can correct to having some common sense in everything we do, because I think that's where most people land, and we're different, but we're not that different. And I think most people just want to be able to raise families, for the government to stay the hell out of their way, and for politicians that are supposed to be making, I don't know what their salary is, 200 some grand a year, they all become millionaires and lobby it. It's just, man, I wish it didn't have to be like that.
I thought I was gay because I liked this fanny pack, but I'm gay because I didn't notice this girl's boobs the first time. How the fuck did I miss that? Next year, I would. You don't need to answer now, because I don't even know if I'm going to get to do the behind the scenes next year. But and I don't mean to put you on the spot, but next year I would like to ask for a formal sponsorship from Born Primitive, and I'm very cheap. All I will require is that fanny pack to wear around my waist, and I will. Will be seen all over the stadium, running around, and I saw you had a black one too, and I was like, but I think it would be more appropriate if I was sponsored, if I wore one that was a little more highlighted, and that's where I'll carry my extra batteries, my protein bar, I like to use those Listerine strips.
There you go.
Like, I'm interviewing people. I can't have like ass old man Armenian breath.
And those strips are intense. If you did you double stack them?
Dude, sometimes
or triple stack. Or
yeah,
you
sometimes
hit the whole
I get
tongue with like 3 of them, and then it sticks to the roof of your mouth.
I'll stick one to the roof of my mouth just to punish myself. Like if I'm interviewing Danielle Brandon, I put one under my tongue and one on the roof. There's no fucking way I'm letting her get any stink.
Smart man. Yeah, I think I can. Let me make a few phone calls. I think we can arrange getting you a fanny pack next CrossFit Games. I think that's a reasonable request. I might know a guy who knows a guy.
God, how cool is that one? So is this girl an employee? How do you choose these models? Is this girl an employee?
She is not. The creative team handles all that. A lot of times it's just girls or guys that are local to Virginia Beach, which is cool. And sometimes we will go through agencies as well. It just kind of depends. But I stay out of that. They do a really good job with it, and the girls that come in are always awesome to work with. And we try to just get a variety of different looks, just so people can relate to like what they're seeing. Not everyone look the same. So I think it's been cool.
What's your timeline like? Do you have a few more minutes?
Yeah, what time we got? 11:40. Let me
You want me to call someone for you?
No. I'm actually getting lunch with my pastor at noon, which it's 11:40, but it's like 10 minutes away. Let me just text him. I think
I only have one more question.
Okay.
I can
Let me just
actually I have 20
let me
more,
message him. Let me just message him real quick.
Okay.
And
you know who Ryan Sheckler is?
yes. Yeah, he was a Red Bull athlete. He's a skater, right?
Yeah, he's got this huge, massive private indoor skating area in San Clemente, and I'm down here hanging out, and we're going over to skate there today and tomorrow, taking the kids down there to his indoor skate park.
Oh, that's awesome. That's so cool.
Yeah. Why so you were in the military for 10 years?
No, just under 8.
And did you get out? Why did you get out? Why do you leave?
I got out because it was getting harder and harder to balance Born Primitive and being a naval officer. My seniority in that community was growing. I had more responsibility. On my last deployment, I was in charge of like 35 dudes, and it was briefing 2-star admirals, and and then from my last deployment, I would carve out from like 11 p.m. till 3 a.m. in my hotel room was like my Born Primitive time. And I'd be doing all my Zoom calls and this and that. I just realized I couldn't do both to the standard that I demanded of myself. And perhaps more important than just that is then I had a daughter on the way. And I realized, okay, there's no way I can be a good dad, a good CEO, and a good naval officer. At best, I'm doing all of those at 80%. And that's probably me sleeping 5 hours a night. And that wasn't acceptable to me. So I realized I had to remove one from my plate. And of course, the daughter was not going to be removed because that's happening, and it's been a great experience. And I knew Born Primitive wasn't going anywhere soon. And once you start having like 50, 60 employees and you realize people's livelihoods, they depend on you for benefits and payroll, and that you're actually allowing families to live their lives, the pressure grows for sure. And it's a cool responsibility to have, but if it was just Mal and I, then it'd be like, yeah, maybe we can take that risk. But I was like, all right, this is a real kind of serious thing now, and I can't be doing it half-ass. So that's what ultimately made me make a decision, a hard decision. But, I was like, this has been almost 8 years. It's been a good run. I've had a great experience, and I got a chance to do it. I got to itch that scratch, and had to, chapters close and you move on. That's what we did.
A lot of dudes in your position, from the ones I know and from hearing Dave talk about it also, they don't have a seamless transition like you. And what's crazy is you have these men who are eminently capable of doing so much, but they don't think that they do because of they haven't been connected to the world. But it's so interesting because so many people will say the dumbest shit. They'll be like, I wish CrossFit would get professionalized. And I've hung out with a lot of fucking professional people, and I've never met anyone more professional than my buddy Dave Castro. And I attribute it to this. This is my analysis, because he hung out with guys where decisions had life and death consequences. And so I recognize someone who wants to get stuff done very efficiently at the highest level versus someone who wants to put on the fucking penguin suit and a fucking tie and shoot the shit. It's like, dude, you don't even know what the fuck professional is. Like, clarity, honesty, and integrity is professional. Really not too much else. And yeah, you reek of that shit too. You reek of integrity, honesty, clarity, no bullshit. I mean, it's just emanating off of you. Do you have a bias also towards hiring mill guys? Since one, do you agree with me that the transition can be hard because these guys with the highest level of self-esteem come out into the world and they kind of feel lost, but really they're not? Like, do you feel an obligation to hire those people? Sorry to put you on the spot.
No, we're good. No, definitely not an obligation. I hire on merit. I don't give a shit
Okay.
what your background is, any
Okay.
demographic. Hey, if you're a squared away person and you can add value to the organization, then let's do it. However, it's cool how it's worked out. I think the last time I checked, over half of our employees are either veterans, former first responders, or spouses of those individuals. We have a lot of active duty military spouses here, and that's been really cool. And it wasn't a handout, but guys would say, "Hey, man, my wife's looking for work, and I'm deploying here, and like, do you think she could get an interview?" And they'd come in, and they'd be awesome rock stars. And so like it's awesome that we've been able to stay true to the ethos of the brand without it being a handout. Like it was earned and deserved. And so we do live those values inside our walls. And I think for a transitioning service member, the biggest thing that's difficult is, particularly when you're going from a more elite community, the standard you now hold humans to is so much different than what is realistic. And you expect.
Wow. You just described him that too. That's why so many people struggle to work with Dave. People don't want to live up to the standard that he wants to hold you to.
Yes.
Where other people, it's scary. It's scary, especially for fucking liberal ding dongs like myself, former liberal ding dongs. But dude, once I fucking understood it, I was anxious to fucking live up to it. Anxious. I wanted it.
Yeah. And I think
a SEAL believes in me. Fuck yeah.
But it's a tough transition because most people don't do that, and you become underwhelmed with, all right. And this isn't true with our employees, because like we have a bunch of studs here, but I'm just meaning everyday society. People, the contractor who was supposed to come at 9 a.m. on Friday morning and he ghosts you, and then at 1 p.m. he's texting you like, "Oh, sorry, dude, I overslept." Like, just every interaction with regular humans after that, you have an unfair. You see it through a lens that will never be realistic again. In the previous life it was, because we had to live like that, and so you become, that just becomes standard of what should be the expectation. But the rest of society, you quickly learn, is not anywhere near seeing the world through that lens and not kind of operating to that capacity. And it's tough for guys to adjust to. The girls as well, of course. Don't have to be a dude for that, but still working through that. But I think I'm getting a little better at it.
Yeah, you're still a year and a half. Dave is still dick. But let me tell you. So when I first started working with them, my story was, he's a dick. He's politically incorrect. He's rude. He pushes people too hard. He lacks compassion. All this shit, right? Then the story changed somewhere, and the story changes. He believes in me. He trusts me. He knows I can get it done. He's giving me opportunity. Like it was the flip side of victim. It went from poor me to holy fuck, this guy fucking gives a shit. But he didn't change. I changed. I just changed my understanding of what he was doing. Hey, I need you to go do that. That was rude. It was like, that's efficient and clear.
Yep.
And boy, man, I flourished and became rich. Not as rich as you, but still.
No, that's awesome. And it's
I got a phone. You don't got a phone. Yeah.
I also have a phone.
Oh, damn.
An iPhone. I'm a high roller over here.
Mr. Bear, you are always. Oh, wait, hold on. Sorry, one more. I got to make another $5 off of you. Born Primitive has a military program that helps military members get an internship and get work. Military to civilian process was super hard for me. Oh, that's cool.
We do. Yeah, we're a licensed skill bridge program, which it's actually been awesome. We've had quite a few people come through that, but essentially the last 6 months of their service, they can come work for us, and they're still in the military, and they get exposed to a civilian workplace. And we have a lot of people doing that right now, and we've actually hired a couple people full time that it was able to be like, yeah, this person's awesome. We have a position for you. It's a seamless transition. They come right in. We just had a guy start a couple weeks ago. That was a skill bridge guy. So yeah, if anyone is listening that's near Virginia Beach, or if you want to, if you're interested, we'll take you the last 6 months. You can hang with us and see how we do things over here.
Father loves his parents, went to Yale, runs a 9-figure company, CrossFitter, just a great all around dude. Fuck, I loved chatting with you over Wi-Fi. You're always welcome on the show, dude. You have my number. Bug me anytime. I don't sleep on my phone, but I would love to stay friends with you. And thanks for doing this. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Well, appreciate the invite, and I know you've put a lot of time in building your platform, and just let me be a part of it. That was
You
fun.
can tell, right? You can tell.
Dude, we gotta get like the wild neon sign in the back. But
I'm on vacation. I'm on vacation. I can't even believe I'm doing. You deserve better. You deserve me when I'm in my studio. I'm on vacation. I'm in a kitchen. At least but I'm in a good spot.
I can't tell. It looks good, but thank you so much for having me, having a candid conversation, and hopefully anybody listening got a little bit out of that. Just you and me ranting on the various life topics, but I really do appreciate it. That was a lot of fun.
Thanks, brother, and we shall talk soon. I'll be in touch.
Awesome. Take care, bro. See ya.
Okay. Ciao. Bye. Bear Handlon, dude. Fuck. I was a little nervous in the beginning. That was weird. Vindicate, $10. Thank you for being an amazing example of how to run a business and be a good dude. Shit. Sorry. That was cool. I think I may have got a free fanny pack out of that. Next up, Hunter McIntyre. I think he deserves a closer camera shot with that face. I think I was nervous because I felt like maybe he deserved, because I wasn't going to be in my studio. I know that could be a 4-hour podcast too. Oh, fuck off, David. You like any mill guy. Hate it when you say nice things about people. Say nice. Try saying something nice about me, David. Got me all fucking jealous. Here's Hunter. Oh, definitely a Power Rangers villain. Hey, dude, Hunter, did you see he has a... Dude, I got to show you this, Hunter. This guy looks like you. He looks like you, like a few years ago, he looked like you. Let me show you this picture, dude. Hold on. If you go back in his, look at this. This is like, dude, look at, that could be you. That could definitely be your brother. You see it? That's like a buff version of you. Just kidding. Just kidding. Easy. God, that was great when you came on the show the other day, Hunter, with those glasses on. That was brilliant, by the way. Brilliant. Yeah, sauced up version of Hunter. I don't think SEALs can get sauced up. He was a football player. Craig Ritchie's brother, Doug Ritchie, as always, doing the Lord's work. Good job, Sevi. Thank you. God, that guy, he said everything right. He's going to have lunch with his pastor. He got a daughter. He's still friends with his ex-wife. He sells fanny packs. He went to the games. Dude, tomorrow's show is going to be great. So I've been hearing crazy rumors about shit over at Brute. I don't think SEALs get sauced up. Oh, Hiller. Let it slide, buddy. Let it slide. Fucking Hiller's convinced me that half my friends are on the sauce. It sucks. I fucking can't. That's the worst part of my relationship with Hiller. I don't even care. It sucks that my friends that have to lie about it if Hiller's right. Half the people I admire are on the sauce, which I'm okay with that. Don't get me wrong. I don't want them to have to guard their secrets. Stop covering my sponsors. I don't know how to uncover them. Stop covering. How many sponsors? This show has over 10. I wouldn't even call them sponsors. I think we have 3 sponsors, and then we have like 7 friends. Friends like give you like real money with no strings attached. Let me see, where are my friends? Give me money. What the fuck are those guys? Oh, I have to do a show on. I don't know if I'm allowed to say. Hunter, Hiller, am I allowed to talk about all the crazy peptides you just got in the mail and what they're supposed to be for? Oh, Greg. Yeah, Greg Glassman's natty. Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, yeah, Greg's natty. Dave is natty. It's easier to name my friends who are natty than those that are juiced up. Dude, how does California hormones lady feel about Hiller jumping off the train? Dude, you have to. This lady is so cool. She doesn't. Our relationship is so just like honest and can't really explain it. It's just a normal relationship, and then she supports the show with money and supports Hiller with what he wants to do. Sabbath Essentials is going to send some money. Sabbath Essentials it's great. SabbathEssentials.com. That's Mrs. Burns's business. My wife's been spraying something that you gave her on my kid's face. My kids don't get sprayed with nothing. They're not even allowed to use like Dove soap. They got to use like hippie soap, like one ingredient soap. She likes that I'll be making videos on it. Oh, that's cool. We'll do a whole show on that. But basically, Hiller's chick got crazy, had a crazy surgery where they basically had to break her hip and then glue it back together at a different angle to help, I guess, what's called hip dysplasia or something. I thought only German Shepherds got that. But anyway, but she's getting on all sorts of like healing peptides, all sorts of them. And some other people in the community I know, actually, I can't even respond to how many people are asking me about the peptides. Sevi, what do you brush your teeth with? It's like, maybe it's Tom's. I could be making that up. Something that tastes weird. Doesn't taste. I used to like it when I would travel because I would always sneak like a little thing of like Close Up or Crest. But we don't have that stuff at home. I don't know what it is. I think eventually my mom and my sister have the crazy whitest teeth ever, and they'd use like baking soda. I don't think Hiller is doing peptides right now. She's supported y'all forever, yeah. Dude, a bunch of people have. A bunch of people are throwing. Two Brain's been really helpful with the behind the scenes, beyond helpful. Paper Street's crazy helpful. BirthFit's been crazy helpful. Everyone's been helpful. Toe Spacer, Swolverine came in hard. Sousa just deals with all that. No one even says anything to me. Next thing I know, I just see their thing down there. And then our other sponsors, the people that we're not as close with, that we don't have we have someone in between us and them, is 8 Sleep, some gambling site. I don't know what it is. Grand Theft Auto gambling, or what the fuck is a gambling site? Does anyone know any gambling sites? And the Ball Shaver, Manscaped. Who does? Oh, DraftKings. I think those are the three that are like, I would consider them more like sponsors. And those other people down at the bottom, more friends. Meridian Ball Shaver. I don't know. My Manscaped is pretty fucking good. I don't use it on my balls, but my face looks good. People even commenting. Shit looks good. All right. Oh, so back to Matt Torres. So Matt Torres, I'm hearing some crazy stuff about what's going on at Brute. There's a big, lots of shakeup would be a dramatic way to say it, but let's say it's not a shakeup. Let's call it just moves. People evolving, evolution. Since if Matt wasn't coming on, we'd call it a shakeup. But since he's coming on, we'll be more delicate with our language. An evolution in the company, a natural evolution in the process of training professional athletes. Barry McCockiner, when are sporty CEO shirts coming out? Boy, I heard a crazy story yesterday. You want to hear it? Now, I'm not sure if the details are correct. I don't know if I should tell it. It's a Sporty Beth story. Who wants to hear it? I don't know. Should I save it? It's a good fuck. It's something else. Audrey, yes. Okay. Well, if you twist my arm, here we go. This isn't the first time. This is just here. Let's say this. I'm going to tell this story again, but this is just, A rehearsal. This is a rehearsal. This is a rehearsal. So as you guys know, my friend, Athena Perez, the founder and CEO of Scaled Nation, has large body seminars. I don't know if that's exactly what they're called. But like there are CrossFit Kids seminars, like there are nutrition seminars, like there are age group seminars, like there's adaptive seminars, like so that you know how to work with these groups of people with these who have needs that are that might be require some, not require, but that could be helpful to get some cues. Shit, it doesn't even have to be the people. There's Olympic lifting classes. It's just more specific to the implementation of the device you're using. Scaled Nation teaches a seminar on how to work with people with larger bodies, which is crazy important. And I know that firsthand because we had a class at HQ that I was integral in starting, with over 150 members that we did for free for large-bodied people at the underneath HQ, which Jenny Lau, Michelle Moots, Rory McKernan, myself, a bunch of people were involved with. Hollis Malloy, who's the guy over at Gilroy, Hollister, CrossFit Gilroy? God, shit. He's one of my mom's favorite coaches. Someone will know who it is. Jeremy Eat World's good friends with him. God damn it, how can I not remember his name? He was a games athlete. Anyway, so I'm very familiar with that group. Wes Pyatt, thank you, Mr. Kelly. Wes Pyatt, yeah, he was over there too. And so when she started doing the seminars, and we had a newsletter. When I had someone doing a newsletter for me, we always put her seminars down in the newsletter at the bottom, the header, or the whatever that thing's called. And I want to support her, and she's a family friend. You know, she's like friends with my mom and my sister and my wife. But also, it's been a charter of this podcast. I don't know if that's true. It's been a charter of this podcast to emphasize that CrossFit has the cure for the world's most vexing problem: nutrition and movement. And I've been I'm obsessed on when I go places that end up being basically just like Disneyland. I'm obsessed with just large-bodied people just in their consumption of refined carbohydrates. And I think a shitload of people who listen to this podcast are large-bodied people. Because I accept them and I want change for them. And they get that. I accept it, I want change for them. And I have no judgment for them other than my notions of their carbohydrate addiction, refined carbohydrate addiction. So I found out Athena was, and I don't move. I don't do it. Like, I just want to stay in my own little fucking world. I don't want to do anything outside of my world of just raising my kids and doing stuff for my kids. And so Athena would say to me, hey, do you want to come to one of my seminars? And I would say, yeah, but I never had any intention of coming to her seminar. I'm 6'2", 260. Am I large bodied? Yeah, probably. You're a girl? Yes. If you're a boy, yeah, you're large. You're large body. Not super large, but you're large. I should say something crazy now. Like no human being should weigh over 215 pounds, period. No matter how tall you are. Even if you're 8 feet tall. So I found out she's doing her seminar very close to my house, like 70 miles away. And it's at someone's gym who I really like, who I wouldn't mind hanging out with. And it's only one day long. And it's something I really believe in. Like, I really, really like her mission. I think she's doing something to improve the world, to improve the people in the world who make this world. Just called Philip Kelly fat. Sorry. You look great. I saw you look beautiful. I'm wrong. How much do you weigh? That's what I'll raise the limit to, Philip. We'll do a little home cooking. My ex-boyfriend in college was 6'4", 220. Oh, that's a nice body. That's a sweet piece of ass. 5'4", 160. Yeah, I'm probably like 5. I'm 5'5", probably 170. Oh shit! Here we go. Brandon Waddell. Sevy's body shaming me without body shaming me. I've lost 90 pounds, still fat, according to Sevy. Yeah, you could lose 90 pounds, still be fat. It's fine. I'm actually 212. Oh, so good. You're perfect. There we go. No, I'm not 5'4". Stop ruining the story. Okay, listen. Dick like a Pringle can. Thank you, Audrey. Thank you. Not quite, but thank you. It's Jason Hopper is obese. Someone in that video said he's 230. There's no way he's 230. Okay, so she's having this seminar. It's right up the street from my house. I immediately, I didn't even give two thoughts about it. I'm like, hey, can I come up there and film? And I'll give you all the footage for free, and I'll film it just like how I used to film the L1s. I believe the way I film the L1s is the biggest needle mover ever to happen to CrossFit. I really do believe that, by far, hands down. I bet you I could get other people to believe that too. I can show you metrics for that. And so I want to go up there and film it and do the interviews with the people and give her all the footage. I don't want to edit it. It's too much fucking work. I don't like her that much. That's a lot of fucking work. And I got a podcast and kids to raise. But I want to film it and then give it to her. And then if she has an editor, or if someone wants to donate their editing time, I can work with them and be like, hey, this is how I would do it. Really simple videos. It's just B-roll of these people learning stuff and hearing the cues, and basically help her like get the word out. Not even sell them, but just spread the word on tidbits of information and valuable cues and methods and steps for working with larger body people. Really, it's probably just people who aren't in fucking shape at all. But it's like getting out of the car and walking into the gym and back to their car on the first day would be a workout like that. So I offered that, and then she posted, and then Sporty Beth came out and tried to basically stop her, and it escalated from like, hey, you probably don't want to work with this guy, he's fat phobic, to basically bullying Athena. Like basically saying stuff like, hey, as I recall, saying stuff like by the fourth or fifth or sixth back and forth, and she saw that Athena wasn't going to acquiesce and was going to let me come up there and film. She was basically saying that, hey, you're only doing this to chase, to ride his popularity, or something like that. It's like, whoa, what the fuck is going on? Why are you doing that? That makes no sense. Aren't you? Because we've seen Sporty Beth, right? She's a larger bodied human being. And so wouldn't she want to support someone, the person who actually has the most clout, who has the loudest voice, who has the most connections, who has the most prestigious brand, the Scaled Nation brand? Why wouldn't she want to affiliate with that and support that, even if it means putting aside her differences with me? But the story gets even more crazy. Listen closely, David. Listen closely. Listen closely, Slater. Listen closely. When Athena came on this show, she reached out to me yesterday, and she said, I reached out to her yesterday and I was like, hey, can you come back on the show? I want to talk about the event you're doing on the 30th and let people know, and can you come on next week sometime? And she said, yeah. And she said, hey, by the way, your listeners are fucking amazing. I go, why do you say that? She goes, there's a couple people in here, I don't know if I should say their names, but have reached out to me and are helping me organize a seminar in the UK. I go, wow, that's really cool. She goes, hey, actually, it's more than help me. She's like, they're taking the ball and fucking running with it. And I feel so supported, and it's fucking crazy, especially since our last seminar in the UK got canceled. We had to cancel it. She said, we had to cancel it. She took responsibility. We had to cancel it. I'm like, oh, I didn't know that. Why did your seminar get canceled? Why do you guys think it got canceled? Now, this is the story. I probably need to have her, Jan doing good work. Is it Jan? Okay, we can say his name. Jan, fine, Jan. And I think it's another dude in here, the Isle of Man dude. This dude, Mr. Chapman. Athena is so lovely. Why would anyone ever want to derail her in any way? Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, the Jake. Philip Kelly, Sporty Beth, got it, canceled. So I guess Sporty Beth and her were talking, and Sporty Beth was took the ball and started running with it to help Athena set up the seminar, the Scaled Nation Larger Body Seminar in the UK, and then had some monetary demands once they were at the 75-yard line. And at that point, I would need to ask Athena this, don't quote me on this, but Athena and her team at Scaled Nation had a meeting and decided that they didn't want to affiliate with her brand and her behaviors. But when I heard that story, I'm like, wait a second. I'm going to go there and do this for free. And you're trying to intimidate her and stop her from letting me, but you were going to charge. And yet you claim to be a bastion or hero of the larger bodied crowd. And yet you don't even see the brand value in the most superficial way, or the moral or the integrity points or that you should be living by in order to team up with Athena in the UK. And then it all started making sense to me. Is it that she doesn't like me, or is it because I'm into her business? Because she wanted to charge Athena and I'm doing it for free. I know how the tables have turned, but it even gets crazier. I heard a rumor yesterday. that video that she made, Sevan, the world's most toxic man in CrossFit, that someone paid her to make that. That someone paid her to make that. David, what? This story's worthy now, huh, motherfucker? Huh? Interesting, right? She's going to... Thank you, David. Thank you. I love you. We should hang out sometime. Andrew Hiller, dude, how much? The details, Hiller, they'll come out. And I remembered when that video came out, Andrew said, wow, this is a fucking, like, he started looking from the artiste point of view. He's like, this took a lot of time and work. And we've already established that Sporty Beth doesn't do anything for free, right? She even wants to charge Athena to do something in the UK. Anyway, it's a fun story. It's funny how slowly it's like unfolding. Some speculation here in the audience. Rosa, it was Rose who paid her. How we do it? Danny Spiegel paid her with crumble cookies. Yeah, exactly. Why would Athena pay? I know that's my whole thing. Like, how do you not? How does I texted Athena yesterday? She was like, "Thank you." I go, "Dude, I'm happy to fucking hitch my podcast up to your brand, suck some of the soul off your brand. Fucking love what you're doing. I'm over here making fun of people for eating sugar, and you're actually fucking helping people lose weight." Helping people, giving people not, what did Gandhi say? You're not bringing them fish, you're teaching them how to fish. Jake Chapman, it was Dave Castro who paid Sporty Beth. That seems, God, that would break my heart. I would become suicidal if I found out that was true. Put me on suicide watch. Mr. Blink, dude, if that's really you, you got to come on my podcast. I've never seen a human being that looks like you. Would love to have you on my podcast. David Weed, Sevan is the TMZ of CrossFit. You know what's cool about TMZ is I always thought that they were the most reliable news source because, like CNN will be like, so-and-so died of blah, blah, blah. And like, you just have to take their word for it. But at TMZ, it's like Suge Knight runs someone over to at a famous LA nightclub. And then you have the video of like Suge Knight running the guy over. And I always thought, like, they don't ever make up shit. They just show it to you. I'm a black Chinaman. Am I getting played? God, I would love to meet you. You are an exquisite looking human being if that's real. I need to see your ears. There's no way that's true. Wad Zombie, got to text me these stories for the evening wipe down. You know what I really want? You know what I would really, really, really want? You know what would be a fucking, just a dream of mine? I want to show you this video. You guys have probably seen this. I don't know if you guys think this is funny, but I think this is the funniest thing ever. And I understand if other people don't think it's funny. I cannot stop laughing. I have watched this video so many times. And this wasn't even made for public consumption. This was made for, this was just Pedro just made this and posted this into a chat that I'm in, into a thread that I'm in. The most elite, exclusive CrossFit Games chat on a text thread on planet Earth. More exclusive than anything anyone else has. And this was pasted in there. And I can't even believe this. Wait till you guys hear this. This is so fucking funny. I would love it if Pedro made one of these. It was like him talking to Sporty Beth or something. This is so funny. Here we go.
So he told him not to come on the show. No, he didn't tell him not to come on the show. But he sort of did tell him not to come on the show. But he didn't actually tell him not to come on the show. But he might as well have told him not to come on the show. But he didn't actually tell him not to come on the show. But he sort of told him, like it was implied, but it wasn't actually said. But it was implied. But then he said he'd put it in his story and share the show to make himself look good or to be supportive. But he told him not to come on the show. But he kind of didn't really tell him. Oh, he's a yeah, he's a So he told him not.
Oh shit. Oh shit. Very good question, Jeffrey. How elite? Who is in it? Yes. It's so, I can't even tell you who's in it. It's so elite. Like 007 is in it and shit. You know what I mean? It's a very abusive thread. It's a very David Weed, that is true. Hiller actually believe Pedro is the real top G. I know. It's crazy. The shit he says in there is so funny. It's a very abusive thread. It's not for the light of no sensitivos. It's fucking brutal in there. It's like people are always saying shit to get in someone else's head. It's crazy. Yeah, right. And you do see that. I just want to see Taylor tear people up. Yeah, Taylor is in there and he fucking tears people up. He's the least abstract. He's the more the go fuck yourself, I'll gag you with my cock kind of guy. Like that's the shit he'll say. Taylor posted a picture in there that you guys wouldn't even believe. It's the craziest picture ever. It's so crazy. All right. Okay, Matt Torres tomorrow. Hopefully Pedro sees this and makes me another video of the whole Sporty Beth situation. No, this is a very good guess. And Audrey says, is it a hog pick? It would be, I think it would be a lie to tell you no, but it would also be a lie to tell you yes. Thank you, Jessica. I love that. Jessica Valenzuela, great show, Sebi. Thank you. How about the fact that that guy has half of his employees are either married to military or in the military, or were in the military. It's fucking cool. It would have been, I think the show would have been 5% better if Dave would have answered. That's a pretty big, 5%'s a lot. It was 1% better because I called 0.5%. No, not an ass pick. A great guess, not even close. Christian Kettler, JR's hog. Wow, that would be amazing. Jake Chapman, did Taylor stick a carrot between his arse, draw eyes on his cheeks, and pretend to be Jason Hopper? Wow, a brilliant guess. And hey, now that she said that, I wouldn't be surprised if we see that, but no, not even close. Audrey, I think the show would have been 5% better if you would have hooked me up with Bear. God, it does. It rains vagina on that guy, huh? All right. Love you guys. Tomorrow, don't forget, Matt Torres. And then afterwards, Torres will be on for 45 minutes. And then afterwards, there's a competition called there's a teen competition. Teen or team? Oh, shit. I don't even remember. Has a T in it. And the guy who's throwing it, it's this weekend. And I think that Mike Arsenault, and that's the guy who does Ask the Questions on the field at the CrossFit Games. Mike Arsenault and Brian Friend will be commentating it. And so, yeah. So, oh, shit. Okay. Going to the Sheckler Skateboarding Academy today.